everybody for coming out on such a lovely evening. It's just, when's it ever going to stop raining? We wanted it to start and then it didn't. Ann, glad to have you here tonight. Ann's, she signed up and came, this is her first night with us, and we just want to welcome you to our Money Smart class. And she's, marketing is one of the things she's interested in.
Right.
So we're glad to have you with us. You're welcome to come back the rest of the nights. And those of you here last week, the iPad showed up. If you make all your perfect attendance, you're in a drawing for that iPad. So we appreciate that. We, like I said, have a special treat for you tonight. I think we have. Oh, are you speaking? He told me to talk him up. No.
He's talking about Chad.
We appreciate that, and we talked about the Money Smart programs, 5 sessions, and we have definitely the cream of the crop that's going to be speaking to you, except for myself. But we're glad to have you here. You know, like I said, our goal is to help you achieve your financial success and give you the resources to do that. Last week we talked about the financial reporting and accounting, and we had an attorney and accountant here, and they almost agreed on a couple of things. And they did a good job making the presentation, and hopefully it answered a lot of your questions. And that's what this is, an interactive program. And I think Luke's the same way. He'll welcome any questions you may have. This is a resource for you to utilize and use. And so Luke comes to First State Community Bank. Like I said, we're headquartered in Farmington, and Luke works for us. He's the Assistant Vice President Marketing Director, and I'll let him tell a little more about his background. You can understand why we have him as our Marketing Director. And he's going to provide you with information on how to market your business, whatever type it is. And then we'll get after him to get done with his presentation, then we'll probably take a break, and then we'll go with the merchant card services and introduce you to Chad, and then banking services in general, and then we'll finish up with that this evening. So, well, you're welcome to get up, get you some snacks, get you something to drink at any time. We do appreciate the colleges taping this for us for training purposes.
Great.
And so we appreciate them doing that. He's dedicated to helping us do whatever we need to do, you know. And we do have some people with us from the bank. I want to introduce Kevin Boren. He's our president of our DeSoto branches down south. And we have Ed. He's our senior lender for the Jefferson County. We have Doug Weber. He's our loan officer in DeSoto. And we have Jessica Likey. She works for our loan department and in processing. We also have, stand up, Tracy McClinton. She's our retail regional manager. She's also branch manager for DeSoto. She helped get this all organized for us, and we appreciate her. And my name's Rick Francis. I'm the market president for Jefferson County, and I want to turn it over to Luke, our marketing director. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rick. I don't know if special treat is accurate, but thank you very much, Rick. I won't guarantee much for tonight, except for it will be different than accounting and legal. If you were here last week, it will be different. Hopefully it'll be a little fun, a little interactive. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, and then I'm going to ask you about your business, okay? My name is Luke, again. I've got a wife, Megan, who has a small business. And this presentation is really built from her perspective. I'll talk about that a little bit later. I've got 2 wonderful kids. Miller, my son, is 4. Jude is 1-year-old little girl. They're the loves of my life, all 3 of them. They're wonderful. But why I got into marketing and advertising was really because it seemed I was always a bit creative, a bit outgoing. And it seemed like there were a lot of different tracks I could take. I could be a designer, I could be a writer, I could be in website design, I could be in sales. I don't have one area that I like to focus in, and that's just what I do. I like to do it all. All right, so that's why I chose marketing as a career. I've got a bachelor in journalism from University of Missouri. Go Tigers. It was sad. I was at the Georgia game on Saturday, so I'm not only sad about the Cardinals, I'm sad about Mizzou losing. I also have a master's degree, master's in business administration from Lindenwood University. My first job out of college, I was an assistant copywriter for an agency in Springfield, Missouri. The agency is called Noble and Associates. And I thought, okay, I landed an agency job. That's what every kid graduating in the advertising program at the University of Missouri, that's what they want. I'm going to work in an agency, and it's going to be in Springfield. I'm going to have all these cool clients. I ended up writing for United States Gypsum, USG. Does anybody know what products United States Gypsum makes? Stoke, you know? Drywall. So if you ever see joint compound at Lowe's, you want to read a label? I wrote some of that. It was not the job I had envisioned. It was a lot of fun, and I learned a whole lot about stuff that I don't care about. But I did learn a lot about marketing and about advertising, and how to have thick skin and a lot of other things. But I grew up in Farmington, and I wanted to be close to home. So long story short, I took a detour by Crown Valley Winery, where I was their marketing director for a bit, and then on to First State Community Bank. And I've been with the bank, it'll be 6 years this month, actually on the 28th of this month. Really great place to work, a lot of great people. But that's enough about me, all right? That's my background. That gives you sort of a lens of where I'm coming from. This presentation is going to be a little bit more from my wife's perspective. She has a small business. She is the accountant. She's the website designer. She is the order taker. She is the invoice manager. She has a little photography shop called Rusan Photography. It's based out of her home. She does weddings, she does portraits. So this is all kind of based around that lens, all right? It's not based on a $1.7 billion bank with 45 different locations, right? I wanted it to be scaled. But I want to learn from each of you just really quick about your business, if you don't mind. I can't talk this whole time. So. Allison?
Well, you and Kevin both
Okay.
can do this business.
Okay. What kind of business? You don't have to say if you don't want to.
No, it's, I want to do analysis of process tanks for metal finishing shops. And
Okay.
consulting along with that, with safety and compliance.
Okay.
Even if they want to review the processes, I can research and develop those.
Good stuff. Okay. Lisa?
I just have a small beauty shop in DeSoto. That's
Okay.
just me, so.
Okay.
And I also am in DeSoto, and I have a frozen food place in DeSoto,
Okay.
so all kinds of frozen foods.
Okay. Gotcha.
I work for a chiropractor in Barnhart. He's been in business for 19 years now, and he just kind of sent me here to learn a bit of background.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, my name is Ann. I'm a registered nurse looking to get out of that 12-hour shift. We'll be starting a legal nurse consulting business, which works with attorneys on medical malpractice, personal injuries, anything that has to do medical related.
Okay. Gotcha. You want to go?
Luke, I manage a retail lumber company
Okay.
on Main Street in DeSoto.
Gotcha. All right, so we've got a lot of different perspectives. Like Rick said, I'm here to help you all. So if you hear something I say and you said you want me to expand on it or want more information, I may not have the answers. I can find them, and we can talk about it here. So, all right, just don't let me talk. If there's something that you want to talk about more in depth, just stop. Is this going to work? All right. When we talk about marketing and advertising, the first thing that comes to mind is TV ads or print ads that you might like or logos, all right? That's just a very small fraction of what effective marketing is. All right, that's the end product, essentially. All right, that's what you see after all the background work has been done. That's when you see the TV ad. That's when you see the print ad. All right. So after all that background work is done, we see logos. We hear radio ads. We see ads on TV. We see ads in print. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff we'll talk about that is just as important, if not more important, than all that other cool production stuff. We're going to talk about what the customer sees. We are going to talk about that a little bit. Product packaging. We're going to talk about advertising. We're going to talk about even customer service. All right. stuff that the customer sees. And then we're going to talk about marketing for your small business. So I'm starting a business, or I've been in business 19 years, looking to get more exposure. Now what? We're going to talk about word of mouth, social media, traditional advertising, and networking specifically. Okay? So this has been used in marketing classes for eons. I don't know, ever since I was in school. But here we have an iceberg. All right. So like I mentioned, a lot of the things that we see, a lot of the things that people think about, all right, they only focus here in their business. They're thinking, I need to go to market. All right. Okay. Well, what does that mean? All right. Well, I need a logo, and I need locations, and I need social media. All right. And I need to understand how I'm going to handle customers. All right, that's what people think of first. But what about branding? Who do you want to be? What image do you want to portray? Competitive analysis. Why are you different than the consulting firm down the street or the chiropractor down the street? All right. Training, mission, vision, and values. All right, core competencies. Anybody know what I mean by core competencies? What am I good at? What am I better at than other people? All right, you can't be all things to all people, so what am I best at? Maybe that's something I want to expose. Pricing, this is a huge one. All right, so this segmentation, who am I going after? All of these things go into marketing. Now we're going to touch on them a little bit. If you want to come back to this and we can talk about some of these more in depth, we can do that. But who am I going after? All right, you can't just set up shop and say I'm going after everybody. Kevin, I'll pick on you real quick. You sound like you have a very specific industry and a very specific consulting firm. You got to know who you're going after. All right? You can't just go blast an ad in the newspaper. That's not going to work. All right? So behind the scenes. So the first step of branding is understanding why and how you do what you do. All right? And corporate culture is important. It will be reflected in the brand. All right? So understanding why and how you do what you do. Why do you do what you do? All right, that's what customers want to know. I don't really want to know what you do as much as I want to know why you do it. That means how does it help me as a customer? Lisa, I mean, how does it help me as a customer? I need a haircut right now.
Come on.
All right, before I leave, during Chad's earlier. Okay. Back in the back. But John, you have to understand what business you're in, who you are, and why you do what you do. So here's a brand focus test. Answer these questions. All right, these are for people who are just starting out. These are good things for people who have been in business 19 years to consider. Who are you? What do you do? And why does it matter? All right, obviously these first two are pretty operational in nature. All right, who am I and what do I do? Why does it matter? That gets to the heart of what the customer wants to know. All right, why does it matter? That means relevance. You're trying to be relevant to the markets that you serve. All right, so why does it matter? So let's do this for my wife, for instance, Rusan Photography. We'll just pick on her. She's not here, and maybe she'll never get a hold of that video. So who are you? She's Megan Rusan. She's from Farmington. She's got a crazy bank marketer of her husband and 2 wonderful kids. All right, and she wants to be an artistic photographer who also has a photojournalistic style. All right, so that means she's very good at candid shots, and she doesn't like all the posed matchy-matchy type stuff. All right, she likes to get kids when they're playing. She likes to get that shot that no one else can get or no one else can pose. All right, so that's who she is, and what does she do? She takes pictures of kids, of weddings, of babies, of expectant mothers, of couples who are getting ready to get married. All right, so that's what she does. She captures these images for them to keep, for them to look back on. All right? Why does it matter? Very emotional reasons why it matters. All right? If you've got a kid, or if you've got a new lovely wife, or you've got a wedding, whoa, it worked.
What'd you do?
I touched it. Well, at least now I know. All right, so why does it matter?
It's a real smart board.
I know. We'll talk to it later. So why does it matter? It matters Because people want to look back on that. People want to remember that, right? She has a very emotional connection with a lot of her clients because she's captured some wonderful images of them. For instance, she's done one hospital story to where a mother will hire her to come to the hospital when she's having the baby, and she takes pictures of the brand new baby and the mom, and they're doing the nursery stuff, and it's a very in-depth thing, and they want to have that. It matters to those folks, all right? So why does it matter is all about relevance, all right? If you don't have great answers to these questions, your brand lacks focus. The more specific you can be about these things, the better off you're going to be in business. The more specific. And I encourage you, write it down. If you're like me, you got a lot of stuff floating, a lot of thoughts going, you're busy, you got a personal life as well as a professional life, write it down. I know that probably a lot of small business owners, my wife included, struggles with that, because she's the only one. She knows what's going on, right? She's got it all up here. She can do it that way. I would encourage her, and I would encourage any business to write it down. All right, practice it, refine it. All right, it's only going to help you in the future. All right, more behind the scenes work. I can answer the brand focus question successfully. Now what? Clearly define your brand promise. All right, what does that look like? Let's think of a company. Let's think of McDonald's. Does their brand promise have anything to do with quality food? Kind of a trick question. No right or wrong answer. Well, I'm thinking.
They're questioning it, so did you see that ad the other day?
I did see that.
They
So
were questioning it.
does McDonald's brand promise have anything to do with quality food? No. People go to McDonald's because they're in love with the system. They're in love with McDonald's operation. I can get a Big Mac in Hillsboro. I can go home tonight at Farmington and get the same Big Mac. I can go to California tomorrow, or Germany tomorrow, or Japan tomorrow and get the same Big Mac. And probably within the reasonable enough time frame. All right? So McDonald's promise has a lot to do with convenience. All right? They built their business around convenience and consistency. Yes, they serve food. All right? Just like Burger King serves food. Just like Culver's serves food. All right? But they have built their whole brand promise on convenience. All right? So clearly define your brand values. Let's continue with, let's talk about Starbucks a bit. There's a training program in the bank, and some of us have read a book by Howard Schultz. He's the CEO of Starbucks. What are some of their brand values? If anybody goes to Starbucks, anybody been to Starbucks? Raise your hand. All right. Okay. What do you think some of their defining values are?
Fresh coffee.
Consistency, that's good.
Fresh coffee.
Fresh coffee, quality coffee, the experience. Do you think they could sell a $4 or $5 cup of coffee without the experience? Probably not. I probably wouldn't walk into a room like this and pay $4 for a cup of coffee. Nothing against Jeffco, it just doesn't do anything for me. All right? So the experience, all right, providing a quality experience. Anybody seen a community board at Starbucks? They value community. A lot of times you'll see a community board and what's happening, right? What's happening around town. Social responsibility, so they give back to the community, all right? Tom's Shoes. Anybody familiar with Tom's Shoes? Probably have some pretty clear brand values, all right? Give back a portion of what we make. So clearly define your brand values. All right, and clearly define what you want customers to think of when they think of your brand. All right? Anybody ever heard of a Volvo car? What do you think of when you think of Volvo? Safety. What brand name comes to mind whenever you think of, now this is next level, but what brand name comes to mind when you think of tissues? Kleenex. I don't even call them tissues. I've never said like, hand me that tissue. I just say like, give me hand me the Kleenex there. A lot of people do that with Tide. If you go to certain parts of the country, they say, what kind of Coke would you like? Just, is there only regular and diet and zero? Like, I don't know. What kind of Coke would you like? I didn't know there was so much variety. So clearly define what you want customers to think of when they think of your brand. Not think. So for instance, the chiropractor. What does he want people to think?
Health.
Health. Okay. Get a little bit more specific.
Well, pain-free,
Pain-free. All right. Okay, that's good.
medication-free.
All right. Lisa, what do you want them to think about your shop?
Consistency,
Consistency, that's very important.
healthy hair.
Healthy here. Okay. The more that you can define this, the better off you'll be. All right, so Kevin, when they think of your consultancy, are they going to think of the best in terms of compliance management, correct? The best in terms of compliance and legal management for these tankers, and I'm sorry I don't understand your business. But the best, all right? You can even say that. We want to be the best. There's a bank in the Pacific Northwest, and they say, they're the best bank in the world. Thank you for calling the best bank in the world. How can I help you? All right? They have clearly defined this, all right? Clearly define your product and service and what makes it different. All right? There is a lot of noise, more noise than ever when you start a business. Kevin, there are more legal compliance, safety, soundness, steel tanker consultant guys out there than ever before. All right? The internet has made everything possible. All right? There's something in my wife's business called Mom with a Camera, MWAC. All right? So they call it a mom with a camera. All right? And that's her competition. All right? She has the regular mom and pop stores, like we have Photo Magic in Farmington, and we have Hastings Images. They have brick and mortar buildings, but she also competes with moms with cameras. All right? So it's very interesting. The internet, classes like this, freedom of information, all of this has made it more noisy than ever to own a business. All right? It's just the time that we live in. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. So you have to clearly define your product and service and what makes it different. All right? So Starbucks, I think it's a better cup of coffee than Folgers. All right? They clearly defined and presented that value to me as a consumer. All right? My sister only buys Tide detergent. I don't know why she only buys Tide detergent, but she thinks it gets her clothes cleaner, and they have clearly presented that difference to her. All right? And she believes in it. Next, you've got to evaluate your competition. Can someone give me a reason we might want to evaluate competition?
So you know where you stand?
So you know where you stand.
Well, I always use an example for somebody that's come in that's new. I said, do you know about the Swan truck? You know, the Swan truck goes around with all the foods. I said, we're very similar, but we're stationary. We have restaurant quality food where they have more prepared food, but we have many of the same things.
Okay, so you evaluated competition with Schwann. Okay. All right, this is a freebie. This is not my presentation, but we're going to do it anyway. So here is a little helpful tool that you can do, just a little graph. All right, we're going to do this for my wife's business. Can everybody see this okay? All right, we're going to call this axis price, and we're going to call this axis quality. Something that you can do for yourself. You can call these whatever you want. These are two good ones to start with, all right, just when you're evaluating your business. All right, who you want to be, all right, essentially, you might want to be. It would be my opinion that you're charging a premium because you have the best. All right, well, that's not reality, all right? You've got some, and maybe your competitors, they're high priced, but you know something about them that just the average consumer wouldn't know, and you don't think their prices, it's above average price, all right? They charge somewhat of a premium, but they're not that great. They're not as great as they think they are. Plot your competitors in your competitive analysis, All right, figure out how you can get to here where quality and price is above all else. All right, and mark your competitors and be realistic about yourself. All right, if your business is here, all right, don't put it over here. Everybody's tempted to put it over here. All right, but truly evaluate yourself based on these categories and these characteristics, okay? If your quality is way over here and your price is right here, your prices are too low. All right? So this is a good axis, a good gauge of where your business should be going. All right? I know this isn't very quantitative. All right? I know there's a lot of feelings in this. And I know that would give the compliance guys last week and the attorneys a lot of unrest. But you can quantify price, all right? You can quantify price. It'll be up to you to quantify and define quality, all right, among those competitors. All right, so this might take 30 minutes, all right? You probably know your competitors already. Just take a look at what they're doing and evaluate them and evaluate where you need to go. All right. Also, if your price is up here and your quality stinks, you might want to rethink some of that too. All right. But hopefully, we're all shooting for this right here. All right. So Starbucks has a good cup of coffee, and sadly, I might pay like $3 for it. Okay. It's black coffee that I could have brewed at home. I could have bought a whole can of Folgers for $3, but I just paid for a tall black coffee at Starbucks because they have the quality, and they can demand the price, right? Okay, so there's your freebie. Write it down. Write it down. All right, commit it to memory. It shouldn't be floating around in your head. All right, because if you want your business to grow, eventually someone's going to want a business plan. Someone's going to want to know who you are. You need to write this stuff down. All right. All right, visible work. We're going to talk quickly about logos. If you don't have a logo or you're not comfortable with the logo you have, some great resources instead of ad agencies. I mean, that's the first person that comes to mind is ad agency or graphic designer, Local universities, Jefferson College, I'm sure they have a graphic design program. Hit them up. They do work for clients all the time. Universities do. All right, so if you're wanting a logo and you budgeted for marketing but you haven't budgeted enough, or you just want to give it a shot, use the resources that you have. And almost everybody nowadays knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who does some design work. All right, because it's just everywhere. All right, but a logo is very important. Couple things I want to note about logos: simple is best. All right, and 2-color maximum. Now, you might say, Luke, you're being a stickler. I've got a rainbow in my logo. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that, unless you want to print something. All right, if you want to print something, they're going to say, oh, all those colors of the rainbow. All right, that'll be $4,000 for 30 copies. All right, so you probably want to think about your logo. That makes good business sense to be more conservative with the colors. All right, some of these logos, all right, see how they follow some of these are even one color. They're very simple. All right, Motorola, Volkswagen, General Mills. I was looking at this earlier, kind of trying to think about what I would say. I was amazed that I knew that this cursive capital G was General Mills. I'm like, they have brainwashed me. All right, I know that this capital G is General Mills. All right, they do a good job with branding. DreamWorks, this is Guinness, Mazda, Yahoo. See, a lot of them are very simple, very clean, and you know who most of these are right away, right? And so keep it simple. No Target, is that what you said?
No, Atari, that sounds right.
Oh, Atari, yeah. Atari. Pepsi's probably changed theirs since this. All right, visible work. Also, you're going to need a website. All right, no matter if you're just starting out, no matter if you've been in business 19 years, no matter if you think, I do hair, I don't need a website, you need a website. You do need a website. All right? This is how people communicate nowadays. All right? I'm not just talking to me. I'll give you a perfect example. We had a training program And the gentleman who led the program is a very old school ex-Navy guy. All right, so he's a very old school ex-Navy guy, and he's probably, I would say, he's 64. All right, well, Chad got to know him. He's 64. So the 64-year old school Navy guy refinanced his house like twice with Quicken Loans. And he told a room full of bankers that. And we're like, you did what? He's like, yeah, they just took all the pain away. I refinanced my house twice with Quicken Loans. They were just quick and easy, and they took all the pain away. 64-year-old ex-Navy guy refinances his house twice with Quicken Loans because they're quick and easy. They only have a website. Right? He can't walk down to Quicken Loan shop and talk to Bobby about his home loan. Right? It's how the world works now. All right? You're going to have to get a website. People like me, of my age group, we do not look at phone books. All right? We're at the age now where we are buying things, where we're starting businesses, where we're developing these relationships with other businesses. We will not look at the phone book. All right? We will look at your Google listing and your website. All right? So, I mean, you have to be conscious of the world we live in. All right? And what's sad is you might think that, oh, well, you know, my clientele is going to be of a certain age, and I don't need a website. All right? You might say that. You still need one. Sorry, because you're going to have, you are. I mean, there is some truth to that statement that my people are going to be generally older, they're not going to go out online. That's true, but for every, let's say for every 5 of those, there's one, Bill Blackburn, who refinanced his house with Quicken Loans, who might have been your best customer that you missed out on because you didn't have a website. All right, so a couple of resources. I gotta plug this guy, Creative Design Group. They're actually out of Malden. They do a good job. Just had to plug that guy. Dave Green is his name. Again, local colleges. There's a whole bunch of different canned site providers. So when I say website, don't get scared and think you can't do it. All right, there's a lot of canned site providers. Clover Sites is one. They have a lot of really nice sites that they do. Blue Domain, Intuit, and One-to-One. They've got a lot of really easy tools. All right, if you have basic computer and web surfing skills, you can build a site. Okay. Couple things I wanted to mention. Be sure most of these will, but if you know a friend and you say, I want this guy to build my website, make sure it has a content management system. What a content management system does is it allows you to update the website. All right. Before, people made a lot of money on websites because they were the only people who knew how to operate them. Right? I'm the only person who knows HTML. You'll never be able to update this without me. And you had all these people making tons of money as web designers because they were the only people that knew how to do it. All right? Content management system takes that out of the picture for your business. All right? So that means that you can update the site. So Lisa, if you've got a special going on at your shop, or Fonda, there's something different that's come out, some new technique, or if you've got a new food, you can go update it right away. You don't have to call anybody, you don't have to email anybody. Content management system lets you control the content. Domain and email addresses. These kind of go hand in hand. I'm going to be a bit rough for just a second. I apologize. But if you have a business and you have a Gmail extension or an sbcglobal.net extension for your business email address, it doesn't look as legitimate as it could. All right. So a lot of these website designers, for instance, my wife has a domain that's rusanphotography.com. She owns it. All right, and typically what happens is they'll give you one email address or 5 email addresses for free when you buy that domain. All right, so her email address is megan@rusanphotography.com. All right, that only legitimizes her business. All right, so imagine if it was Luke Rusan, AVP Marketing Director for First State Community Bank @gmail.com. All right, you'd probably be like, that's a little weird. Why don't they have their own extension? You know, It wouldn't be Rick Francis, president of First State Community Bank, R. Francis at sbcglobal.net. All right, it just makes you look more legitimate. All right, when you have your own extension for your email. All right, just a little tip. And no, Facebook is not enough. Facebook is important, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but you do need to have your own website where people can go. Visible work, product packaging. I could really get nerdy on this for a while, but because I love this kind of stuff. Green straw. I mean, that is just a genius move. They could have picked clear, they could have picked black. They picked a straw that's their brand color. All right, and I know I'm talking a lot about Starbucks, but I saw a movie, and this is why I'm in marketing, because I notice these things. I saw a movie, and I made my wife pause it because he was drinking a Coke from a can with a green Starbucks straw. It was genius. Like, you knew it right away. You would know it if I showed you the clip. I would say, is that a Starbucks straw? And you'd all go, yeah, that's a Starbucks straw. All right, product packaging is important. I mean, take it from me. I wrote joint compound labels. All right. Don't be jealous. iPhone does a great job at this. Apple does a great job of product packaging. They have done a great job of product packaging for years. You've got the little, everything is contained. It's just, when you open something from Apple, it is like a miracle how they do it. Like, you pop open the top, and there's the, right there, there's the packaging. That's what you're all here for in the business training. But you always have the device, and you take the device out, and there's this nicely neat laid out tips on how to use the device. Even down to the earphones are contained. All right, so if you have product packaging, and you're saying, well, I'm not going to have that. I'm a consulting firm. If you have a folder with materials that people use or take away when you meet with them, you have product packaging. All right, so be sure it's up to par. You can make it as slick as you want to make it. All right, Austin Brew Works. I just think these beer cans are cool. All right, that's why I put them on there. All right, they're not the typical beer can. All right, visible work. I'm going to show you a few ads, and these are just fun ads for me to show. The first one is the reason why I got into advertising. Really, why I thought I could do it. Let me set the stage for you a little bit. I knew a whole lot of people in high school. Didn't necessarily mean I wanted to hang out with them constantly. All right, and you'll get what I mean. Hopefully, if this YouTube video works. Don't know if we have sound. All right. Car wash. VW. I guess I just like VW. Their ads have had the same layout since like the 70s. You know, they've had, if anybody remembers the Beetle ad, the famous Beetle ad, they've just always had the same layout. They've used this font ever since that first Beetle ad came out. That's how consistent they are. Filet-O-Fish, McDonald's, I just thought that was clever. That was a billboard design. And then service. People will remember how you treated them as much as they will remember what service you provided. All right, for instance, my wife, I'll just pick on her again, she could get the most beautiful shots you've ever seen at a wedding. But if she treated the bride and groom like garbage, she's not going to get any referral business. They could have killer pictures that could win awards, but if she treated them like garbage at the most important day of their life, or one of the most important days of their life, that's not going to do anything for her business. Nothing at all. All right? So if you're in the service industry, maybe your brand isn't as much about what you provide. All right? Banking is a good example. All right? But the people in our bank matter a whole lot to us, and we believe that they do things differently and they go above and beyond. All right? So we try to make our brand about how we treat them more so than the products that we offer. Products are still important, all right, but it needs to be something different for us, right, in order to maintain our competitive edge.
One good example is a doctor, and I'm not picking on the chiropractors over here, but you hear stories that Man, he's a great doctor. He stayed with me with my bedside. And you have no idea about the quality that you're getting from that doctor.
Yeah.
But because he treated you nicely and you felt comfortable with him,
Yeah.
you go back to him.
Let's go back to this one more time. I'll add to that. I bought the car whenever Megan started her business. We were trying to be conservative. We had a pretty nice Honda CRV, you know, just a little SUV. We decided to downgrade. All right, so we're thinking we're not going to get the best deal. All right, no one's going to treat us right because we're trying to downgrade, and we just want something cheaper and fuel efficient, you know. So she's starting her business. That's kind of setting the stage. Someone referred me to, it was actually Chris Wigger at our Ironton branch, referred me to this guy in Poplar Bluff. And I didn't have time to drive to Poplar Bluff. You know, I got 2 kids, and well, we had one at a time. But I didn't have time to drive to Poplar Bluff. But I called him. I looked up a vehicle I saw on his site, and I called him, and he said, you know what, I'm going to send you that vehicle. And whenever I send you that vehicle, my driver's going to take yours back. We'll evaluate it for trade. And he said, but also that vehicle, I'm going to go ahead and send the papers up. You don't need to sign anything. I don't need a copy of your license. He said, you just drive it, and then if you like it, we'll keep yours and you keep that one. All right, and we'll ship all your stuff up. Umbrellas, car seats, whatever was in it. All right, we'll have another driver come.
Kids.
Yeah, kids. You can take my kids down the Poplar Bluff. And that's how it worked. We have the car now. I drove it to meet Chad. You know, that's how it worked. We liked the car, we kept it. But what that means and why that story is important is, I mean, the car is, I mean, if I had to pick, it probably wouldn't be my pick. I like my car. It does very well. But, you know, it's not like, it's not awesome. You know, it's not like a Corvette or something. It's not an Audi. Black eye. But I remembered how he treated me. He took all the pain away. All right, and even when I was downgrading, right? I mean, this wasn't like a killer deal for him. But now, if I'm ever in the market for a car again, I won't go anywhere else without checking there first. Because I remember how he treated me. All right, and it wasn't difficult for him. You know, we might have talked on the phone a total of 10 minutes. And that's pushing it. You know, so it wasn't difficult for him. So a lot of providing excellent service, it may not be as difficult as you think to separate yourself with service. Just take the pain away. In marketing, we always say brain equals pain. That's why Google is successful. All right? That's why I choose Google over Bing, over Yahoo, over MSN all the time when I go to search something, because it's just Google and it's one bar. Right? I don't need the other stuff. I don't need the other distraction. Brain equals pain. All right? So if you can take all the thinking out of it for a customer, where they only have to choose you, think of the pain points that your customers have and take it away. Right? I didn't have time to drive to Poplar Bluff. I didn't want someone that treated me like garbage because I was downgrading from my current car. Right? I needed someone who understood my current situation. All right? That was some of the pain that was going on. Done. Wiped away. All right? Brain equals pain. If you can take the pain away, you'll have a customer for life. That's definitely true for chiropractic.
Yes, it is.
All right, Ritz-Carlton. Anybody ever stayed at Ritz-Carlton? You don't have to raise your hand. I only stayed one time, and it was in downtown Dallas. And you know, I'm from Farmington, okay? You know, I just told you I downgraded my car. All right, I'm staying at Ritz-Carlton, all right, in downtown Dallas. And I was like, what am I doing here? But it was amazing. I mean, it was amazing. And here's just something. I mean, if you have time, research some stuff on Ritz-Carlton. We had a guest speaker who talked to us about their service standards. Every single person who works for the company started out as a housekeeper or as a bellboy or something that you normally don't think of, right? You just think they walk in and they're automatically just christened this giant, cool leader of the company. No, they started by serving, all right? So Ritz-Carlton Hotel is a place where the genuine care and comfort of our guests is our highest mission. Pledge to provide the finest personal service and facilities for our guests who will always enjoy a warm, relaxed, yet refined ambience. The Ritz-Carlton experience enlivens the senses, instills well-being, and fulfills the unexpressed wishes and needs of our guests. All right, the motto, we are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. All right, this is what I'm talking about for your business when we talked about defining who you are and what you do. All right, these aren't fancy words. I mean, was that real hard to write or read? No, we're talking about Ritz-Carlton. You know, it's very simple language. I know you guys can write something like this for your business that's meaningful. All right? And this guides all of their business decisions. All right? So when they're making decisions about interiors, they want to provide a warm, relaxed, yet refined ambience. All right? Well, how do we treat our customers? Fulfill even the unexpressed wishes and needs of our guests. I don't even call them customers. I call them something different. This is not hard stuff, but this is all that background stuff that we talked about that's underneath that water level, all right, on that iceberg. That's so important. All right, so I'm a small business. Now what do I do? All right, what do I do to get the word out? Word of mouth. All right, so what the internet has done, aside from creating noise, it has returned us back to the oldest principle about advertising and marketing that you've ever heard, and that's word of mouth works. All right, when I'm looking for a recommendation for something, or I need something, a lot of times, not a lot of times, I maybe have a couple times, I go to Facebook and I'll say, I'm looking for XYZ to do this for me, any recommendations? And I'll see people on there who I trust or who I know in the community, and they'll recommend somebody, and 9 times out of 10, that's who I'll go with. All right, so what the internet has done, aside from creating noise, it's made it very inexpensive, right, for your business to grow by word of mouth. All right, so a lot of, if you get the service right, especially if you're a service, people are going to talk about that. Photography is a great example. My wife's business, they like to show their pictures off, they show their kids, and you know, it has a Rusan Photography logo on it. You know, it's great. She gets most of her business by word of mouth. She doesn't have a giant marketing budget. Social media. One disclaimer I'll make about social media quickly is that you have to understand what makes sense for you. You have to understand what makes sense for you. Lisa, I don't want to offend you about your business, but I don't know if you could provide that many tweets about cutting hair. Because Twitter is instantaneous, it's constant. People who are on Twitter expect you to tweet or write 10 to 20 times a day, all right? You're probably not going to do that about hair, right? I mean, offend you probably could. But, but you have to do what makes sense for your business. Your consulting business probably doesn't need to be on Twitter. Right? It might be more appropriate for LinkedIn. Right? So let me just describe the most basic. Facebook is like a backyard barbecue. The language you can use there is casual. All right, that's a lot of how I'm talking to you today. You can be casual on Facebook. All right, you can't be unprofessional, but you can be casual on Facebook. People want to read things that are casual. They don't want to read technical stuff. If you decide to go into Facebook, it can be casual. Twitter, just give me the facts. Twitter is like, I don't need to know it all, just give me the facts and so I can go on about my day. All right, LinkedIn is like a professional medium. All right, if you're on LinkedIn, it makes a whole lot of sense for consultants. I would recommend LinkedIn. For anybody who's trying to build a network of professionals that can help them succeed, maybe you've got some delivery drivers you could connect with on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is like the office. All right, MySpace, don't even go there. It's like the bar. All right? And it's like a bad bar. It's not like a classy joint. It's like, I don't even know where I'm at, but I'm going in here to get a drink joint. Right? It's like on my way to Poplar Bluff to look at that car. If I had driven to Poplar Bluff, drove to Poplar Bluff, I would have stopped in the bar. That was MySpace. That's not good. You just don't want to be on MySpace. It would be Greenville. You're not from Greenville. So MySpace is like the bar. Don't go to the bar. All right. Instagram is for very visual. It makes sense for people who are in retail. I actually could see it working with hair. You know, if you do different styles, or maybe if you got a wedding coming in on a Saturday and you do all these fancy, crazy things that they do to women's hair on a Saturday during a wedding day. Snap a picture of it, post it on Instagram. You know, with someone's permission. All right, you always have to get permission. But anywhere you see a very visual type of company, retail, clothing, hair would work. That would be good. YouTube is okay. It's not okay by itself. All right, so if you're going to do a little YouTube video and it's going to be a how-to or it's going to be a little testimony on your business, that's fine, but it can't stand alone. No one is going to go search for your YouTube channel. All right, nobody. So it's got to be tied to your Facebook, or it's got to be tied to your website. All right, and YouTube has very simple tools that allow you to do that. There are some more obscure ones: Vimeo, Flickr, Google+. The popularity of those might be growing. They're not to a point where I would recommend any business who's starting out just to go jump on any one of those things. So word of mouth. Social media feeds the word of mouth. And another thing that social media does that is good if you are more the rational side as opposed to the feeling side. If you're more, I guess would it be left brain? Is left brain the analytical side? Look, I don't even know. But one of the things that it does that is so crucial is you can track who's liking your page. All right. So for First State Community Bank, for instance, I know that our most engaged segment of customers on Facebook is women aged 25 to 35, and most of them live in Farmington or the surrounding counties. And I know that just by clicking a button. All right, so there's a lot of valuable information. So you're saying, well, that's great. So you know that, now what? Well, guess what? Maybe I tailor my online ads to appeal to that category. All right, so now I have more bottom level stuff, so I can develop the surface level stuff to fit who I've identified as an opportunity. All right, people who are engaged with our social media page. All right, so it's all, huh?
It's free.
It is free. One of the things I would warn against that, Facebook has a new algorithm. So if you have a Facebook page now, and let's say you have 20,000 likes, any given time you post as a business page, only 6% of your likers are going to see that. Because Facebook went public, and then everything changed. All right, they got to make money now. What I will say about Facebook is, yes, it's free for that 6%. If you ever thought, man, I've just developed something, I have a hairdo that nobody else has, and I have got to put it on Facebook, I've got to make sure all of people see it, all right? You can pay to boost that post. You know that hairdo was just spectacular, and it's going to cost, I mean, my wife's going to be wearing it next summer because it's so trend-setting. I mean, Lisa developed the Rachel of 2014. Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay. But you really want to promote that, all right, for a very inexpensive amount. All right, you budgeted for marketing, remember way back when. So for instance, we paid, I think it was around $40 for our Cape branch. All right, our Cape branch had something that they wanted to post for $40. All right, we just set the target. We wanted everybody, and you can target people in the counties that you serve. All right, so you don't have to blast to everybody. You can say, I only want people in DeSoto. I only want people in Festus, wherever you guys are from. Barnhart, you only want people in Barnhart or in Jefferson County. All right, and it will tell you how many people are going to see your post, how many are going to be engaged with it, how many click through, right, to your website that we already talked about. All right, and for instance, the Cape, we only have, I'm ashamed to say this because it needs work, but we only have 1,500 likers on our Facebook page. That's something that we're working on. But for $40, we hit 5,000 people in the Cape Girardeau area. Right, so our message was tailored, we knew our audience, it was appropriate for that audience, and it hit 5,000 people in the Cape area. Right, it didn't make sense for us to promote in Jefferson County because it was the Cape Girardeau branch. Right, so you got to be smart about what you do. But so yes, it is free, but if you want to reach some people with maybe you've got just some killer content, it's very inexpensive. Okay. Traditional advertising. I'm just going to talk quickly about this. I've been going for over an hour. Okay. Radio is good for top of mind awareness. For instance, Shane Company. I think my kid can say where they are now. You know what I mean? At the end, Shane Company in Brentwood at the intersection of I-170 and Highway 4. Online at shaneco.com, right? Super 8, is it Super 8 or Motel 6? Which one is it? Motel 6, we'll leave a line up for you. It's always, is it Tom Bonnet? Same guy? Voice, top of mind. All right, I know him as soon as I hear him. Radio is good for top of mind awareness. That just means when people think of hotels, people think of jewelers, they think of you first. All right, that's what top of mind awareness means. Newspaper. Newspaper is great for credibility. All right, there's something standard and just very powerful, and newspaper adds credibility. All right, radio is not going to add as much credibility as a newspaper will. For some reason, it's just always been the standard. I would say that it's unfortunate, but as your business grows, you might want to look at, do I do digital or do I do print? Most of the times, it makes sense to do both. Don't do one or the other, because again, you're missing out. All right, you're missing out on the target audience where it splits. Direct mail, here's my comment, don't do it. Unless you have the most killer offer known to man, and you are going to blast confetti out of someone's mailbox, I'm just saying, as a small business, you might not want to do direct mail. Now, I'm thinking of the food industry real quick. It might make sense for you to do it. No? Do you sell to individuals?
In the past, they did send out flyers of what was happening that month. And, but I'm not computer savvy, so I can't make my own.
Okay. So we'll get you a contact that can help. But it might make sense for some, like JCPenney and Bath and Body Works. My wife gets these direct mail pieces and she's like, $10 off, we have to go this weekend. And it's like, just because you got a coupon doesn't mean we have to go somewhere.
On a tangent on the direct mail, why do politicians do it? I mean, you get a lot of direct mail.
Why do they do anything? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know why politicians do it. I don't know why they do it.
Three from the same one in 2 days.
Because I'm guessing theirs are very targeted too. Does that make sense? They have to blanket a certain area, a certain constituency.
Easier than knocking on every door.
Huh?
Easier than knocking on every door.
Yeah, easier than knocking on every door. People are probably in tune to it. All right, so I may not be looking for the frozen food service every day, but people are in tune at a certain time of year to political advertising. All right, so they might expect it a little bit more, might pay attention to it a little bit more because they have a heightened awareness. But I don't. That's a good question.
Within that market, by default, your customer is a politician.
Right. Well, and I had Obama call me and leave a message. I don't know if anybody else had that. But no, seriously, it was an automated message, and I listened to it, and I was like, this is President Barack Obama asking for yada yada yada. I guess I met certain criteria. I fit his target market, and I had a recorded message from him. Obviously, it wasn't him calling me up. Huh?
Did you listen to all of it?
Might be a conversation, but I can't really touch on it. I don't know if I listen to all of it. Maybe I should be a politician.
When I do those kind of phone calls, we would like to take a survey for such
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't
That's what I'm
think
saying.
I listen to all. I'm sorry. I don't think I did.
Political life, I just, no.
To get into these metal finisher shops is not easy. Don't let just anybody in the front door.
And I don't really look for consultants in the neighborhood.
So I was going to send letters out to them. As a matter of fact, I just got them crafting one just about them.
to send out to them in the mail
Is
first.
that cost effective for you? Because here's what I'm going to tell you. Those people have a lot of noise too. So what I would tell you specifically is go after gatekeepers. All right, now gatekeepers are going to be maybe an assistant to who you're going after. Someone that, probably who you're going after, a decision maker, has a gatekeeper. All right, there's someone at the top who's making that decision who says, I want to use Kevin to get him in and consult with us. All right, but there's also somebody filtering that information to that person. All right, so that person is not bombarded with every single offer or email or anything that comes on a day-to-day basis. All right, so I would say administrative assistants, or maybe there are there administrative assistants? Do you guys know? Are you?
Well, I'm kind of his, but
I would say probably like instead of the owner, maybe the supervisor,
Yep.
you know.
There you go.
yeah, what's
There you go. Don't reach out to the owner, because they're bombarded with more than even the gatekeeper. All right, so you got to find out who that number 2 or number 3 in line is. That's going to funnel it up to the decision maker. So that, I would say that is your target. That's my opinion.
And are they local at all? Like, could you visit them instead of sending letters?
Yeah, it's in the greater St. Louis area.
But they don't really get visitors, so you can't really.
Yeah,
walk in.
special
Yeah.
letters.
But there's also, I mean, there's got to be trade associations,
Yes.
places that these people are and they're captive that you can be at. So it might be a little harder to break into, but there's got to be a place where all of the manufacturers or all of these folks that you're trying to reach, there's got to be a place where they all come together. A trade publication that they're looking at, maybe a trade show, you should be there front and center.
Do it best who we belong to as far as a trade association for lumber and hardware. They promote a lot of direct mail. I mean, once a month.
Well, and maybe that fits their target too. I would not advise it for small businesses. I guess I should have qualified that. Direct mail is not going to make sense for my wife. It's just not. You know, for larger businesses who are comfortable with 2% returns, you know, who have relationships with printers and who have a target that will look for those offers. Like I said, JCPenney's and Bath and Body Works. I don't know why I can't say that, but they're effective because it's an offer. All right, but I'm just saying, if we're talking about for the purposes of this course, probably doesn't make a lot of sense for small businesses to do a lot of direct mail. 1 to 2% response is massive for direct mail. I mean, if you get 2%, you're a rock star in direct mail. Like this response rate. So, specialty publications, we just talked about that a little bit. There's got to be something, all right, that you can advertise in. Online advertising, Google. Sorry, I'll try to be quick. Google pay-per-click. So anytime you see, this makes a lot of sense for retail. So anytime you see paid advertising, right, in the top and down the sides, that's what people click when they're ready to buy. All right, when they're researching, they look in the natural results. When they're ready to buy, they click on the top or on the sides. All right, research has proven that over and over. And now Google is like Facebook. You have to pay to play. All right, so to get to show up, you have to be part of this pay-per-click, Google pay-per-click sort of advertising. All right, so there are certified Google specialists. You can call Google directly and they'll set you up with one or refer you to one. So, but it's very important to have that. Guerrilla marketing. Anybody ever heard of a flash mob? All right, these are crazy tactics that people do to get attention. One of the things that there's a bank, I think they're in Pennsylvania, TD, you know TD? But they send pizzas, right? Whenever a new couple or a new family or a new person buys a home and moves into that home, they send pizza to this person in a TD box. All right, we know you're moving in. Here's pizza on us for tonight. Enjoy your new home. All right, so it's a very different type of tactic. We've done very little of that at the bank. One instance that comes to mind is in Cape Girardeau. Butch Holyfield, our president down there, and his crew They knew they had a construction loan, a commercial real estate construction loan. They knew the guys were out there working. They just went and took them water. Like, hey guys, I know you're working hard, I know it's hot, so here's some water. We're from the bank, see you later. Thanks for working on this project. And that was it, all right? So there's a lot of weird, kind of quirky things. Networking, Kevin, this applies to you. I love this quote. People are the same except for the books they read and the people they meet. That's pretty true, all right? You can always refine yourself and refine your skills by getting some of that self-knowledge. There's a lot of it out there, a lot of books, and then the people you meet. All right, you've heard it said, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I would argue that it's both. Both are important, all right? This quote proves that. All right, best practices. Think about your audience and your customers. Less is more. Be strategic. Don't advertise for the sake of advertising. If you listen to one thing that I've said, please don't say, well, I need to go out and advertise. All right? My wife does no traditional advertising. So don't hear in this presentation that you got to run out and advertise. You might have to tweak your service model a little bit. You might have to find a way that you are different than your competitors. All right, some of the things that we talked about there, you might have to tweak your price a little bit. All right, if the market demands it. But don't go out here and just run advertising. All right, that in itself is not marketing. Measure the success. One of the things I love about digital marketing is you know what you paid and you know what you got back. You know how many people saw it, you know how many people clicked it. All right, but track it. All right, did you see a bump? You know, take a baseline of where you are now before you do your campaign. All right, for those of us starting out, that's a little easier. And then measure where you are after it ends. All right. Call to action, special offer, unless you're branding. All right. We didn't see a huge call to action in VW and Audi's commercial because they were trying to invoke some emotion. That was some branding advertising. But a call to action really works whenever it's that Bath and Body Works coupon that comes to my wife's house. My house. Favorite marketing books and resources. Real quick reads that you guys can look at later. One I wanted to add to this is that book Onward by Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks. He is very candid about their failures, about their success, about things they tried that didn't work, about what is important to them. He is extremely candid, probably at times painfully candid for him, about the rise and fall of his business, right? And it applies no matter what size you are. So I would add that. It's called Onward by Howard Schultz. Commercials and ads, pay attention. Real quick, I know I'm talking a lot, I'm sorry. But if you notice, college basketball season is coming up. College basketball fans are known for being more educated and having more professional jobs, all right? So go home, there's your homework, go home and watch a college football game. You're gonna see Bud Light, you're gonna see Cheetos, you're gonna see Tostitos, all right? Go watch a college football game and just pay attention to the ads you see. All right, and then go home and when basketball starts, college basketball starts, you're gonna see Mercedes, you're gonna see Bank of America, you're probably gonna see some investment companies, some insurance companies, you're gonna see some Ed Jones. It's just a different target, all right? They know what they're doing. Have you ever seen a commercial and you say, I don't know what that was? Starburst has the weird, and Skittles have the weirdest kid with the Skittles growing out his face. And I'm like, I don't even know what I just watched, but I'm not the market for that, right? It's also the J.G. Wentworth. If you're ever at home for a day off like Columbus Day and you see J.G. Wentworth, it's my money and I want it now. And I'm thinking, I don't know what's happening here. Well, you're not the target, all right? Just pay attention. These people know what they're doing. They've done that below the water stuff. All right, and let me give you my email address really quick. It's Roussam, Roussin, at gmail.com. At fscb.com. And one of my favorite things, again, I've got a heart for small business because my wife has one. If you have any questions, that we didn't get to or something that you think about, just reach out to me. I'm available. We make it a point to be available to people, all right? No matter where we're at in the bank, if we're a commercial lender, if you're a marketing director, just reach out to me. I've helped someone who was at the Malden class. He had some questions. He wanted me to review his website. I just did a little 20-minute review with them, called them on the phone. It's really not a big deal. We love to help, all right? Any way we can.
Just to emphasize, you said keep it simple. That was one. I heard this 30 years ago. It was the KISS principle. And keep it simple, stupid.
That's right.
We use it at least once a month at our lumber yard. You know, something that gets a little keep it simple.
That's right.
And it works.
That's right. Well, I am sorry for talking so much. I estimated an hour and I went way over. But see, here's the thing. I work with all these analytical types, and when I talk about marketing, they don't look at me and smile like you guys do. They're like, what are you talking about? And so when you guys sit here and smile, you're going to get it. Like, oh, but I can talk about this for hours. So, all right.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you, guys.
Our next speaker tonight and presenter is our Director of Merchant Services. And his name's Chad King. And as far as small businesses, what we really like is getting paid. And Chad's going to talk about one avenue of getting paid and how we can help you do that through your business. And I'm just going to turn it over to Chad. He's, like I said, our Director of Merchant Services, and that's getting paid. Now let him tell you how it happens, and we'll listen to see what he has to say and go from there. Chad?
Awesome. All right, great, thank you. All right, so just a little disclaimer. I don't like PowerPoints. Okay? Luke's was awesome, but for my type of material, PowerPoint doesn't work. But I didn't want to be the only guy that didn't have a PowerPoint presentation, so I put one together. There's only like 8 slides. All right, so we're just going to talk, we'll have a conversation. If you guys have questions as they come up, feel free to ask. I just have a couple of things that will kind of lead us through the conversation. So, oh yeah, we can pass those out. Don't look ahead though. Don't ruin the surprise. So, like Rick said, my name's Chad King, and I'm from Farmington. Like Luke, we drove up here this evening, and originally from Farmington. Love working for the community bank. Love being involved with the community, helping people with small businesses, just any way we can. So it's a cool aspect to it. What is Merchant Services? I'll just jump right in here. You can go old school and press the buttons.
Oh. I'll never do the same. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so what is Merchant Services? I got a chance to take some notes in the back and listen. It's awesome that we have such a wide variety of businesses in here. Now, Fonda, you work with a chiropractor.
Right.
Okay. And you're in the medical field. I got to give you props for being at our end. Because before I came to the bank, I was in healthcare as well. I specialize in pediatric healthcare and home health nursing. So we took care of families that had special needs kids. So I'm with you on that. Okay. So I think it's cool what you're doing, going out to still help people, just help people in a little bit different way.
Right.
Okay. So I give you respect for that. Now, obviously, you're in a little bit of a unique niche market. Okay. Tell me just briefly again what it is that you're going to be doing.
We'll be working with metal finishers, electroplaters,
Okay.
and helping get being able to take care of, like, analysis of the tanks, maybe safety, management, compliance regulations, so they can focus on them.
Okay. Okay. So you're not building it. You're not selling any product, correct? You're selling more of a service. Okay. And Lisa, you have a beauty shop, hair salon, correct? I'm sorry if I used the wrong term.
That's fine.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
Okay. Because I was quickly corrected that a masseuse is something very different than a massage therapist. Whenever I talk to somebody who's a massage therapist, I was quickly corrected of that. Okay. And when you have a food service business, correct? Okay. And Stoke, I know you're in lumber business.
Retail lumber.
Retail. Okay. Fantastic. So, what is Merchant Services? Some of you in here probably already have it. Some of you don't. Some of you may need it. I think all of you may need it. Okay. Merchant Services is the ability to accept debit cards and credit cards as a form of payment in your business. Okay? So all the different in Cape, like Luke was saying, Butch Holyfield, when he talks to people about merchant services, a business owner will come into the bank and he says, "Hey, such and such, do you have merchant services?" And they kind of give him a questionable look, and he goes, "You know, the swipey thing." And they're like, "Oh yeah." So I've become known as the swipey guy in Cape. Okay? So all of the places that you go do business that you can pay for goods or services with a debit card or credit card, those types of machines or however it's set up, that's what we do. Okay? That was a service that was outsourced. We as a bank outsourced that for a long time until a couple years ago we brought it in-house. So that way we could control the customer service, we could control the pricing, we could control the contracts, everything like that. Because I'm sure you can agree, it's kind of a heavily marketed, heavily polluted field. You probably get calls, or your people at the store get calls weekly, if not daily, from other merchant service providers. Just a quick show of hands, who has a merchant service program set up in here? 3 of you. Okay. Get calls a lot, get targeted a lot from other companies. Hey, we can probably save you money in your merchant services. Okay. So that's what it is. All right. Why is it important? Somebody tell me why it's important in here.
A lot of people like to pay that way.
Correct. Tracy was just telling me a story earlier. She went somewhere the other day and they didn't have the ability to take cards, so she had to write a check. Right? She had to write a check for like $8 because she didn't carry cash on her. People like me that go to the gas station to get a bottle of water, and I don't have change with me, I end up getting more things to buy, so I'm not swiping my card for 99 cents. I add things to it, okay? It's important because, what's that?
I don't care.
I said, I just swipe my card for 99 cents.
Don't add stuff.
I'm on this end, and I know what it costs them to be able to pay that. So,
Sorry.
why is it important? Because people are carrying less and less cash these days. Okay, people are becoming more and more dependent on cards. So if you're not accepting cards, you're probably losing out on business. Right? Statistics say by 2017, somewhere between 75 to 90% of all transactions are going to be done on some type of plastic. Okay, those are the statistics. But Lisa, 65% of all statistics are made up on the spot. So you really can't tell what you're doing. But it is critical. It is important. Okay, because just think about it. Just think about it in your own life. I don't know if there are many places where you live that don't take cards, but there's a spot in Farmington. It's a great little old mom and pop's restaurant, if you will. It's like a drive-in, like the original Sonic, a car hop, where you drive up, you order your food, they bring it out to you. Okay, they don't take cards. And how many people pass that on a daily basis? Like, oh, I'm going to go get a Hunt's burger and a shake or whatever. And then they realize, I got to go to the ATM, which is on the other side of town, and I'm going to pass by 3 or 4 other places on the way there to the ATM, so I'm just going to stop there. Okay? They're missing out on business. That's why it's important. So where do I start? If you don't have merchant services yet, then you can start with a person like me. Okay? What I recommend, obviously I'm a little bit partial, I'm a little bit biased to what we do, but having a merchant service program to where you have a local point of contact is critical. For customer service needs, for troubleshooting, for problems, if you have something come up with your credit card terminal, if you have something come up where you're getting an error message on a card, it's critical to be able to contact somebody local with questions, problems, whatever it might be. Okay? You want to check out a lot of things, all right? There are certain rates, there are certain per item fees, there are certain contract negotiations that you're going to want to be paying attention to. I'll put this out here now, like Luke said at the end of his, I'm available for any questions. Okay? Even if you're not a customer of ours, if you have questions as far as, hey, is this something I should pay attention to in my contract, whatever it might be, I'm more than happy to answer those questions. Right? But you want to take a look at how much it's going to cost you for your equipment. You want to take a look at how much it's going to cost you for your rates, your per item fees, and any other kind of fixed monthly charges they might have. Okay? What do I need? A lot of that's going to depend on your type of business. You said you have, is this place at your home? Is this just something you do on the side? Do you have a physical location? You have a physical location and it's just you. Okay, and you don't take cards right now. Just cash your check on it. Okay. So for your type of business, your equipment needs, your program needs are going to be very different than Stoke back there. okay, who has a lumber yard, who has a lot of different inventory that he's going to keep track of. There are systems to suit everybody, right? We'll talk about some of those options tonight. Some of them are physical pieces of equipment. Some of them don't require any equipment at all. Okay? It all depends on what your needs are. So you have to understand what it is that you're going to be selling, offering. You're going to be selling your services. You're probably not going to need something that's going to track your inventory. You'd be overpaying for that if you're tracking the inventory and you didn't have the inventory to keep track of. Okay? So just kind of common sense stuff there. What is EMV? For those of you that have merchant services, well,
I just got a call on that the other day, so I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to know about this.
perfect, perfect.
We
Okay.
haven't had any cards come through like that, but
Okay. So EMV is becoming a real hot topic now. It stands for Europay, MasterCard, Visa. That's a bunch of technical gibberish. I'll just tell you what it really means. It's accepted everywhere else. The United States, kind of like other things, were last to the ball game. Okay. Who heard about the Target security breach? Everybody. Who was affected by it? Anybody in here? Yeah, I mean, Kevin's like everybody. Now there's a lot of stuff going on about Home Depot. Okay, Home Depot had a breach. EMV, I'll just kind of show you what this is. You'll hear it referred to as the chip cards, the smart cards, whatever it is. So in addition to the magnetic stripe on the back here, there's a computer chip right here. Okay? The reason this is special is because the information that's stored on this stripe right here is called static. So there's a code on here, and it's the same code as the day the card was printed. It doesn't change. So these criminals that have these high-tech card readers, Lisa, you can have your card in your purse. They can come up and put something next to your purse and steal information off of it. If they get a hold of your card, they can swipe it through there and read information off of it. So that they can go back and they can take the code that was on there and they can just start using your card information to purchase whatever they want. This is kind of broken down layman's terms. I tell everybody when I talk about merchant services, there's so many details. I don't talk like this. Right? I keep it 3rd grade level because I rocked 3rd grade. After that, it was kind of downhill. Okay? So I keep it where it's pretty simple. Layman's terms is the code on this stripe never changes. The code on this chip changes every time you use your card. So there's a security code on there. What's going to happen is right now you swipe the cards. When the EMV takes effect, you're actually going to insert the card into the terminal on the front here, and this chip is going to go inside the terminal. And it's going to stay in there during the transaction. Because what the terminal is doing is it's actually putting a new code on this chip. So the security code, the encryption on here changes every time you use your card. So if somebody does steal your information, however they can off of this, and they're on their way home to their dungeon in the basement where they play video games and steal people's credit card information, and you go to the gas station and use it before they get home, the information that they have won't work. So there's a liability shift coming. Yes?
But if it still also has the strip.
Correct. As of right now, as of right now, they had to do both. Okay? But hopefully, eventually, they're going to do away with this. Not everybody is capable of accepting these right now. Okay? So the liability shift is coming October of next year, October 1st of 2015. Because what happened with Target is when the security was breached at Target and there were thousands, millions of people that were affected, what happened? Everybody had to go to the bank to get their money back and to get new cards. Who do you think paid for that? What's that?
The bank.
The bank. Target didn't pay for that. Home Depot didn't pay for that. Okay? The liability is going to shift to you, the merchant. So as of October 1st of 2015, you have to be able to have equipment that is going to handle these cards. You can still do business with old equipment, but if there's any kind of dispute, if there's any kind of fraud that happens, you're going to be liable for everything. So having the correct equipment is an insurance policy.
Is there an organization directly behind the chip?
I don't know if it's, no, I don't think just one organization. It's the payment card industry, PCI, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, they all came together to create compliance standards. And the EMV was one of those standards that they put in place. So I don't think there's one company, like are you asking if there's a company that...
Or like the World War, the financial organization for global?
I don't know if there's one particular agency. I think it's kind of a conglomeration of the card industry. That's what EMV is, okay? So if you have equipment now that doesn't take EMV cards, that's gonna be one thing that you'll wanna make sure either your current processor is gonna be able to upgrade for you, or if you're going to be getting set up for merchant card services anytime in the near future, you wanna make sure that your equipment is gonna be set up for EMV. Okay? Let's go. Apple Pay. No? Okay. So Apple Pay, what did they announce? There's another technology, it's called NFC, Near Field Communication. This is a little bit scary the first time people hear about it, but basically what you can do is you can have an app on your phone, and you can link your debit card and credit card information to your app on your phone, okay? And then once this becomes readily available everywhere, you can leave your credit cards at home and carry all the information you need on your phone. Kevin has the same reaction a lot of people have whenever I tell them that first, okay? It's actually safer. It's a better way to do business, and here's why. What's gonna happen is you're gonna be able to take your phone and you have all your information stored on here, okay? The terminals, the point of sale system, whatever it is gonna be able to accept this. You will open up your phone, which hopefully you have a security code to, number one, open up your phone. Number two, you're going to click on your app that contains all of your Apple Pay or whatever it is by the time you get it, information. So you're going to open up an app that has your debit card and credit card information on there. You're going to have another security code that you have to put in. So there's 2 layers of security just to get in there, right? So when you're standing in line, you go buy some 2x4s from Stoke and you got your stuff information pulled up. By the time you get up here, what you'll be able to do is the credit card terminal is going to be right here. You have it pulled up, they'll ring it up, and then you'll just be able to reach down and tap your phone on the terminal, and it will transmit the information and you'll be able to pay for your services that way. Okay? Here's why it's actually safer. What happens right now if I lose my wallet? All of my cards in there are stolen. So then I have to go back to the bank, to the other credit card companies that I have credit cards to do. I have to cancel all of them. I have to get reissued new cards. And what happens when I get new cards? I get new numbers. And all of the places that I have automatic payments set up, all of those numbers have to be changed. So then I have to go back in and change all of that. How often do people forget to do that? They forget they had that one payment tied to that one card, okay? So if you have all your information here and you lose your phone, what can you do? You can contact Apple, you can go online, you can deactivate your phone. So it wipes it clean. So if anybody steals it, number one, they can't even get into it. If they do get into it, it's going to be completely clean. There's nothing, there isn't going to be any information on it. And then you go buy a new phone, and you take your cards out of the desk at home, and you put the same card information in it that you had before. So theoretically, it's going to be safer.
Will it be available for Android?
What's that?
Will it be available for Android?
It actually already is available.
I have the Samsung S5 Active, and it's on there.
Yeah.
But I was leery because I thought if somebody takes my phone, they have all my information, so I never set it up.
I don't know about how you deactivate Android phones from a distance. There's something on the iPhone, it's called Find My iPhone. So you can locate it based on GPS, but if you lose it, you can just go online and deactivate it. So it'll just completely wipe it.
Yeah, but it is, I bought mine in August.
Yeah,
It's on
the thing is, the technology's been around for a while, but until a player like Apple gets in the game, it doesn't become mainstream. It doesn't become popular. It doesn't become completely user-friendly until somebody like Apple gets on board.
But phones can be hacked like computers. And then somebody can hack into your phone and get the, without you know it. Isn't that a possibility? That's what I'd be afraid of.
Not if they don't have your phone. I mean,
They can't remote in, like they can't do a network or computer.
yeah.
Unless it's Apple, okay? Unless it's, let's be realistic,
Right.
unless it's Apple, worst case scenario,
Yeah, I don't think so.
somebody within
I
Apple.
mean, that's above my pay grade right now. Back into a phone.
Chad, what about the terminals themselves? Do all terminals accept?
No, it's a great question. No. A terminal has to be able to accept NFC, near field communication. So you'll need to find out if the terminals that you have now are capable of that. If they're not, then you have to contact your payment processor, your provider, to find out when this stuff does start becoming popular, if you're going to want to have people want to be able to offer that to your customers.
Is it a certain percentage rate, just like different types of cards?
To the customer, it's not going to cost them
To the
anything.
merchant.
To the merchant, we don't have specific numbers on that yet. It hasn't been released yet, but for the bank there is. So,
Is it in effect now? I mean, can you do it now?
not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Right now, there is quite a long waiting list of banks because the BIN, the bank identification number, or the digits at the beginning of the card, every bank has to have their BIN registered with Apple Pay. So they're kind of in the background getting all these things set up. And I talked to Derek Wright at our bank, who does all this kind of stuff. And he has us in line, but they haven't contacted us yet to get us registered for it. So once it happens, then First State Community Bank will be registered, and then it'll be up to each individual customer, if they want to do that, to go on and register their own cards. So it's not like people are automatically entered into this. It's something that you have to do yourself. But
Have you seen any terminals out there yet at businesses?
all of the terminals that we've been selling for the past year and a half are NFC capable.
Okay.
All of our terminals we've been selling for the last year and a half are also EMV capable. So the equipment that all of our merchants have is ready for all of this. It's just the systems aren't ready to accept it yet, but they will be. So all of our merchants that have equipment through us, next year whenever the EMV cards go live, all we'll have to do is just do a software update on their terminal and they can accept it. Now, if you go to places like Walmart or Target, who are on large systems, they have a lot of their own programming. The EMV cards are actually working on their terminals. I was at Walmart and I went to use this card and I swiped it and it said error, use front card reader. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I put it in the front and you could hear it doing its deal, running through the transaction. After it was over, it said, please remove your card, successful payment or whatever. And I was like, that is awesome. And my wife was like, well, what are you so surprised at, Mr. Credit Card? Like, sorry. But, not to get too technical, but right now, credit cards are the only ones that have that chip in it. The debit cards aren't. Because there are so many debit card networks. So, Stoke, do you offer PIN debit at your location? If somebody swipes your card, they can enter their PIN number. Okay? That transaction has to go through a different system rather than Visa, MasterCard, Discover. It goes through a third party to receive an authorization. In the rest of the world, there aren't a ton of different PIN debit networks. In the United States, there's a bunch of them. So what they're doing now is they're trying to get all these different PIN networks on the same page as far as coding goes. That's why there's a holdup as far as all this getting launched. Any questions so far?
Each time you have to come and update the software to be able to accept this. How does that work? Do you guys have to go to the businesses themselves, or do you have to send it in to get it?
No, for our credit card terminals, it's just a standard countertop situation. All they'll have to do is call the help desk, and they'll do what they call a partial download. And the terminal will tie into the system that it does to receive an authorization. So when you swipe a card, it goes out to receive an authorization. It's going to have to tie into the same system, and when it does, it's going to recognize a new update. Kind of like your computer or your phone has to do an update, same thing on your terminal. So it's just going to bring back the information, and that information is going to say, okay, now I can turn on this credit card terminal. Now I can turn on this EMV port. So they don't have to send it in. They don't have to have a... Now, do you have like a point of sale system? Or do you have regular countertop terminals at your location?
For the credit cards? Just one credit card machine.
Just one machine? Okay. Some places like, you guys have merchant services at your location?
We have ours, we still have the swipe machine, but it's electronics going through the computer.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So their system is a little bit different. She is in a medical office. So there are some programs that process credit and debit cards, and it also links to patient profiles. Okay,
Yeah.
so they might have something, a similar situation like that. Instead of having to get a whole new system, what their payment processor will probably do is send them a different card reader. Your card reader is probably only about that big, right?
Yeah, it's just a little wedge. Yeah.
Probably plugs into a USB port in your computer. So they'll have to get a new card reader, and instead of swiping the card through that, it'll probably be just a little thing to slide the card into. Okay?
Now, on October 1st, will the debit stuff, or would the PIN number be ready too for checks?
As of right now, they're saying it's going to be ready before then.
Okay.
Because they've stuck with this October 1st, 2015 for quite a while, this date, as far as the liability.
For credit and debit. Okay.
This is a new product that we are about ready to launch. It's called Clover. When I talk about different systems, there's a countertop terminal, and I probably should have included a photo of this. Just, you all have seen it. It's probably what they have on the counter at the gas station, something like that you pay with. That's your typical countertop terminal, okay? This is a new system that tablet-based point-of-sale systems are becoming very, very popular. Because everybody has some sort of tablet, an iPad, something like that. Somebody here at the end of this week will have an iPad, right? So everybody has these, and they say, I want to figure out how I can use them. So there are systems that you can download onto your tablet that tracks inventory and that kind of stuff. This system is kind of an all-in-one system. It's a tablet, it's a printer, it's a cash drawer. There's other products, there's other accessories you can purchase with it. This is a pretty cool system because it does credit card, debit card processing. It tracks inventory. It does employee timesheets. Runs all kinds of reports. It's completely accessible remotely. So if you have a small business, if you have a small restaurant, and you're on vacation and you want to check to make sure that your employees have timed in on time, you want to check your inventory, you can do all of that remotely. Okay, it's got some really, really cool features. And the thing about it is it's very price reasonable for small businesses. Some very detailed point of sale systems can get pretty expensive. Talking anywhere from $5,000, $10,000, maybe $15,000 for an entire point of sale system. This is going to run around $1,000 to $1,500, somewhere like that. Okay. Mobile options. This is pretty hot right now. We started the square in here. Do you have one? You do not. Okay. That would probably be, this type of system is probably going to be something that's going to be along your lines, okay? Mobile options, this is pretty hot because it's very cost effective to run, to get started. You're not tied down to where you can plug your terminal into a phone line or a hard line for the internet, anything like that. You can accept payments on the go, okay? There are a lot of different options out there. Google has one, Square has one, PayPal has one. There's a ton of different mobile card readers. We offer one at the bank. It all depends on the type of business. It all depends on how much business you do on a monthly basis. It depends on your average size ticket. If you're going to do 2 transactions a month and they're going to be, 30 or 40 bucks, some of those options are going to be more cost effective than others. If you're going to run, 50 transactions a month and they're all going to be between $100 to $500, there are going to be other mobile options that the price is going to be better for you. Okay? It all comes down to your business. What's going to be best for you? There are also some options. How do you, did you say you accept cards? Okay, how do you do that?
The old-fashioned swipe.
You just have a credit card, okay. So people come into your store, swipe it on the credit card terminal, okay. And yours is all on the computer, correct? Okay. There are some that are like fine.
We swipe it and then everything shows up on the computer. So.
Right. You don't have a separate piece of equipment that prints out receipts.
Not anymore,
yeah. Okay. We also have options to where, like Luke was talking about earlier, if you have a website and you want to accept payments through your website, we do that as well. There are options that can be built into your website that accept cards, that process securely, everything like that. We have a large private school that they have gone online, so the only way that parents can pay tuition for their kids is through the website. So, yeah. So.
And how much is something like the Square, and does it cost a certain amount every time someone uses it?
Yes. For those of you that aren't accepting merchant services, it does cost. It costs per transaction. Okay? There is a fee. There's what they call interchange. It's an actual rate. So, do you sell products as well?
Very little.
Not much. Okay. But if you were going to buy hair care products from somewhere, Sally or somebody like that, there's a true cost for you. And then you increase it to make a profit. Okay? Same thing with lumber. There's a true cost for you, and you increase it to make profit. There is an actual cost for Visa, MasterCard, Discover, all these companies. There's an actual cost for them to run that transaction, to send it through the processing house, to get an approval and send it back to you. There's a true cost for that. Where merchant card processors make money is they increase it in order to facilitate those transactions. Okay? So many times, and I'm not going to say across the board, but the way that it works is that if you swipe a Visa debit card, you're going to have to pay a rate, and you're going to have to pay a per item fee for that transaction. What most merchant owners don't understand is that there are a lot of different rates. There's a lot of different ways to do pricing, but overall, here's how it works. Your debit cards are the cheapest rates. Your regular consumer credit cards are more expensive than that. Here's what makes people mad. The rewards cards, the Southwest Airlines rewards cards, the Bass Pro Shops rewards cards, those have an even higher rate. So when a customer comes in and uses their Southwest Airlines rewards cards at your business, you're actually paying for their frequent flyer miles. Because Southwest isn't going to pay for that. Visa's not going to pay for that. It's got to come from somewhere. So you as a business owner pay a higher fee in order to accept that card for them to get those rewards. And kind of like the most expensive ones are the corporate issued cards. Those are rates. Surcharging is a big topic these days. Most places can't do that. Surcharging is, hey, I've got an item for $10 and customer comes up and pulls out a card. And you say, well, it's going to cost you $3 more because you're going to use that card. Can't do that. There are certain industries that can, and they have to advertise a certain way. There's a cash price and a credit price. There are certain industries you can. Most industries can't. You go into the DMV, it's plastered all over the place. The government can do. Guess what? I'm on video, so I can't go much further than that. Anybody have questions? I kind of hit some broad topics. Yes.
I will make a comment on how everything's going mobile. If you have traveled via airline in the past 6 months, you can now use a boarding pass on your smartphone. My wife did that for the first time in August, and I just thought it was unheard of because I thought it was the security. They had to, how do they highlight it? How does the guy at the stand have the highlighter? But a lot of things are going mobile, including now boarding passes.
I'm going to a concert Thursday night, and it's the first concert I've been to in a long time. And when I purchased my tickets, I had the ability to print them or download them on my phone. So you can download, it's an image, QR, reader image, whatever. So you can download it on your phone. So whenever you get ready to go to the venue to see the concert, they have a scanner and you just put it up on your phone and they can scan it. Okay. I actually just booked, this kind of goes along with what Luke was talking about. My wife and I have 2 kids, and we just booked our first Disney vacation for April. Okay, and you want to talk about a company that brain equals pain, take absolutely everything out of the question for you. Okay, we got a packet in the mail, and it said the King Family's Incredible Vacation, and it was an entire packet that was completely personalized and customized to us on the program that we had just signed up for. Okay? They have this thing called Magic Bands now. It's a bracelet. And you can sync this bracelet with your debit card. You also sync it with your account. So when you walk up to your room at the resort, you literally wave this band in front of the room and it unlocks your door. When you go to the gift shop and you want to buy a Mickey Mouse ears, you wave this thing in front of the credit card machine and it swipes and it charges it to your account. You go up to the rides, these fast pass rides. Okay, whenever I was young, you had to wait in line for 2 hours or whatever, right? A 30-second ride. Now what you do is you go up to these readers and you swipe your band and it says come back at 3:15 and you can ride. So you go do other things, you come back at 3:15 and you go right to the front of the line. It's nuts. Everything's going mobile, everything's going high tech.
That scares me, because I see a little kid going there, ding, 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 you know,
Yeah.
and grabbing candy, and
Correct.
you're like,
Correct. Correct. Or somebody bumps you up on the counter and pays their stuff.
I feel like protecting my hand, like.
No, my 4 and my 3-year-old, their bands are not going to be linked to my debit card. And even for that, my wife's band might not be linked to my debit card.
The scary
So-
part is the kids are, you know.
Probably more tech savvy than we are,
Better
yeah.
than-
Dad,
They'll show you how
based
to
on
use
my
it.
wife's excitement level, the kids are probably going to spend less money than my wife. So it's just, it's funny. Yes. Any questions? Anything about technology, about prices, about cards, whatever it is? What did I miss out on? We do all the time.
Do you
Yes.
feel this would be a cost effective for a service business, such as
Yes.
mine and his?
Yes. Yes, because what you're going to run into, especially you, maybe not so much as you, but what you're going to run into is you're going to run into companies that are going to want to pay with their corporate card.
Okay.
Because they're not going to want to write you a check. They're going to pay with a card. We have several merchants that we do business with that they do business with school districts or they do business with large companies, and they used to write them checks or whatever, and now they're like, everybody's wanting to pay with their corporate card. Because either somebody in the company is getting rewards for those corporate cards, or they're just better able to track all the expenditures, okay? So, yes, definitely.
If you get the mobile thing, do you have to also have a home station or a
No.
main station?
No,
And do those accept the EMV?
not yet.
They
But
will?
that's kind of like what Fonda deals with. It's just it's a reader right now. But at some point, they're going to come out with a different reader that you have to purchase that will be able to accept the EMV cards. Right now, 2%, maybe 1% of transactions are done on an EMV card right now. The technology isn't really up and running just yet. It will be next year. But no, you kind of like Luke, my wife, is starting a small business. Okay, so she's not going to have a storefront. She's not going to have commercials and stuff like that. But the different events that she goes to sell her product, she's just going to have a mobile card reader. Yes.
I will say, when people, there's something psychological, and this goes back to the price thing, the price setting thing. People will spend more, maybe not for Chad's reasons, but people will spend more on a debit card or a credit card than they will if they're paying with check or cash.
Yes.
So if you do accept that, I mean, there is something different about that psychologically for your paying customers. And we're no different. We're all the same way too. Whenever we use our debit and our credit, you know, the ticket prices go up. All right, so something for your business to keep in mind, if you're limiting to cash and check, you're limiting the ticket size.
I'll speak to that point. We had a fundraiser for a friend of mine battling cancer last year and got a terminal card reader just for the benefit. It was unreal how many cards I swiped that night. And it was because, you know, maybe because they're getting those rewards or whatever the case was, but that's exactly right. People spent more that night because we accepted debit and credit
So you can
cards.
just get a reader just for one night, one event?
I was able to. I don't know if that's something that's offered normally, but talk to my buddy Chad and he works it out for me.
Yeah, we've done different benefits, things like that, to where we either donate the use of a terminal, sometimes in unique situations, because it's been either charity or an event that we wanted to help out with. Sometimes the bank helps to pay for the interchange fees, something like that. It's kind of on a case-by-case basis, but we have worked out situations like that. And shameless plug, that's a joy about doing business with a local company that can make those decisions, because that doesn't happen everywhere. But we've dealt with that in situations like Tracy and some other places that we've been able to get things to happen like that. Yeah.
Did you say it was illegal for a business to surcharge
Yes.
a credit card? Because I've gone into places and they said, well, if you want to pay with credit card, you're going to have to pay 3% more.
Correct.
That's illegal.
Yes. Yes.
So if they take credit cards, they have to take the payment without a surcharge.
Yes.
Or they
Unless
have
it's-
to
unless
hide
it's
it to where.
Unless it's an industry like the petroleum industry,
Uh-huh.
but most places no. And even the processors that we work with, they have to have certain regulations in place in order to surcharge, and our processors said, the companies that we do processing with say that they won't allow it. So none of our merchants are allowed to surcharge. We have had a merchant that got reported for surcharge. It was an oil change place. He didn't know he couldn't do it. I go there all the time. I didn't know he was doing it because I don't look at prices. I'm just like, yeah, give him an oil change. I give him my card. So he got reported. They contacted me. They're like, hey, one of your merchants is surcharging. I'm like, for real? So I went in there. I was like, hey, are you adding? And he's like, yeah. I just, if somebody's going to give me a card, I just add on 3%. Okay, well, you can't do that. No. Actually, long story, but somebody sent me an email. One of our employees sent me an email at the weekend of a sign that was taped to the front of a restaurant's front desk or whatever, and it says, when you use a card here, you'll get charged 10% more than the cost of your transaction. That 10% should fall off within the next 3 days. If it doesn't, please call us. And like, I've never heard of that before. Now, sometimes, like if you go to a gas station, you know, it'll authorize it for like $1 or whatever before you actually pump your gas. Same thing with a hotel. If you reserve a room at a hotel with a debit card, those funds are not available. Like they hold those funds. That's why you don't see it on a credit card, because when you make a reservation with a credit card, they actually put a hold on those funds. With a debit card, you might see it in your bank, but you can't get to it. So they put a hold on it.
There's an ice station near my house where you can get ice or water, filtered water, you know, the gallon or whatever.
Yeah.
And I got ice one day and it said, for credit cards, the charge will be a little higher. But it didn't say how much higher. And I went ahead and I was like, it can't be that much more. And I got the ice. And I looked at my bank ice, and it was, instead of $1.50, it was like $10, something like that.
What?
But then a few days later, it dropped off.
Really?
Wow.
So, but yeah, at first I was like, I'm never going there again.
Yeah.
$10
Now, there are ways that you can build that into your pricing. Okay? So, if you arbitrarily increase your cost of goods by 3% across the board, so instead of something costing $10, let's just say you add on $3 just for easy math, because remember 3rd grade? Okay. So let's say it's
30 cents.
Makes my point a little bit better here.
You were talking 3%.
Makes my point a little bit better here. Hey, shoes charge, whatever that is, $10. So let's say you increase your cost to $13. Okay? This is the way you can legally do it.
Mm-hmm.
The customer comes up and they think the price is $13. Remember that whole iceberg thing? Before you get to the top of the water, you've done your research down here and you know your cost is 10, but you're going to build it in there in case they pay with a card, it's 13. If they come up and they pay with a card, you can charge them 13. If they come up and get ready to pay cash, you can give them a $3 discount and charge them 10. What happens? Same thing. Except the customer doesn't feel like they're getting penalized for using a card. They feel like they're getting a reward for paying cash.
That's what gas stations do for gas.
It's right. That's the way you technically can do it. That's the way I've been told by the processor when this came up, is that's how you can do it. You can offer a cash discount, but you can't add on a surcharge to penalize somebody for using a card.
But if you go through PayPal, they can charge an extra $1.
Yeah, if you order tickets for a concert through Ticketmaster, tickets $10 and charge you $25 handling fee or whatever, you know. It's like, you didn't handle my tickets at all. I turned them off. Why did you charge the handling fee?
Yeah.
You know, it's because they cover the cost of it. Sure. Last thing here, this is my information. It's my cell phone number. So if you need to get in touch with me, if you have questions, feel free to call me, email me, whatever it might be. I'll be more than happy to. Here's kind of how we do it. If you have merchant services now, you're interested in seeing if you can save money, whatever it is, we do free pricing analysis. We sit down and take a look at your statements and say, okay, what are you getting? What are the rates that you're getting for these cards? What are your monthly fees? Here's how it compares to ours. This is where we're going to be able to save you some money. Okay, that's what we do on a daily basis. So, thank you all. I think this is a great program. I think it's a great decision coming out to this. It's somebody, a very successful business owner told me a long time ago. People are like tomatoes. You're either getting ripe or you're rotten. So you can never stop learning. You know, no matter what size business you have, if you're just getting started, you've been around for however long, never stop learning. Continue to come to these, meet other people, because like Luke said at the end of his networking, you just build a network of people, and that's how you become successful. Okay? So, if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Appreciate that. We're just going to take just about 5 minutes, and then we'll get the next group going, and we'll get you on your way. Okay? Take a little break, get you a drink, go to the restroom, and we'll set this up last time. Get going. The last section we want to talk about today, and Tracy and myself, and we have Kevin and Ed here, and we're just going to all kinds of resources from all sides of the bank. But we have a presentation here, and I don't know, this is kind of slick. Didn't I know if it was going to work? And what we want to do as far as, we want to talk about banking services in general and community banking and what, as a business, growing up, starting up, or an existing business, things that we think that have helped our customers in growing their business or starting their business. Know how banking services are available and what they are to help. You want to look at business checking, payroll processing, familiar merchant services. One of the things that he talked about. You know, that's how you get paid. Business loans, cash management services. You know, explain how to think what fits for your business, and I think that's real important. What do you want? What do you know? What do you know or want to learn about banking services? Business banking fundamentals. Factors consider when you're looking at what your needs are. Needs are very important. What kind of services do you need as a small business? Probably a checking account. That's pretty important. I think most small businesses, everybody in here have a small business, has a checking account. How many personal checking accounts? So those are very important. Savings accounts and certificates of deposits. Usually small businesses, do they think about those things? It's great to have a reserve, isn't it? If you have a business, it's good to have a reserve, a rainy day fund. You know, it's just common sense. And so, and how do you access that money? Who can access that money, depending on if you have multiple people in your business? Those are the things you want to consider when you're looking at the fundamentals of your account. Okay, first thing we like, what are the services that you try to find in a bank? If you're looking for a bank for your business, what do you look at? Just share that with me.
Personal service.
Personal service. Very good.
Fees.
Fees. What's it going to cost me to have an account with you? Anything else?
Loans.
What's that?
Competency.
Does this bank know what they're doing? You know, are they there for me or are they there for the bank? You know, it's a two-way street. Very good. And what'd you say?
Loans.
Loans. Okay. There's definitely a service that you want to need. How do you grow your capital? Well, the bank can be a partner with you and give you a loan to help you get started or help you continue your business. We'll talk about those things later. Okay. Choosing the right bank. Things that you want to think about when you're looking at that. ATM usage and availability. Even in a business, are you going to utilize an ATM if it's available? You never know. Customer service. Somebody talked about that. Personable and relationships. Accessibility. Is this bank, you know, we talked about earlier, do they even have a branch? Is there somebody I can talk to? You know, do they have accessibility? Can I drive? Can I walk? Can I park or drive through? And what about being online? Is that important? Yes.
Something just went through my mind, because the bank down in DeSoto's got ATMs, 22,000 or however many the number is. Is that actual First State community banks, or is it any ATM? Because some of them, you have to pay a fee if you don't use that particular.
Exactly. Let me explain that. She's talking about, if you see we have a billboard right when you come down 55 right before you get to Festus, it says 23,000 ATMs, First State Community Bank. And we're a member of what they call Money Pass. And you ever heard of a co-op? It's an ATM co-op. We all went together and joined groups, and we can use each other's ATMs without service fees. And so Walmart's part of that Money Pass, U.S. Bank's part of that Money Pass. They can use ours, we can use theirs. Bank of Hillsborough, Southern Commercial Bank. These are some local banks that are involved. There's even a website you can pull on your phone that tells you all, and it's got this little Money Pass logo on the bottom of it that tells you, you look for that Money Pass. If it says that on an ATM, and you have a First State Community Bank card, you can use it there without getting that service fee. So
I've even taken a phone call from a customer, I believe, that was in Kirksville, maybe? That was saying, hey, this is where I'm at. Get on the website, tell me where the closest ATM is that I can use for free. So if you don't have maybe internet on your phone or something like that, you can always just give us a call and we can point you in the direction where you need to go, so you don't get charged those fees.
very good question. Availability of the ATMs. Okay. And do they have drive-through? You know, sometimes you'll see a drive-through, it'll say, you know, the first lane's for commercial, you know, or they'll say the second lane's for consumer, you know, just because the commercial gets, they usually have coin, everything can go through there. It's hard to send coin through one of them tubes or they might hang it up. They get heavy. And, what products and services do they have? You know, do they have the services that meet my needs? Do they have merchant processing? Do they have coin and that they can sell, you know, get me coin that I need for my daily usage? And somebody said fees. Who said that? There you go. That's an important part. What's it going to charge? Deposited funds availability. What in the world is that? Do you have any idea? Yeah, you make a deposit with a check and somebody writes you a check and that check's drawn on a bank, let's say in Illinois, and you want to deposit in Missouri, are you going to let me have my money right away? Sometimes. It all depends. You know, if you have that much in the bank, sometimes they'll let you, but usually it's a 2-day processing hold. Because even with electronics, that used to be up to 5, maybe even up to 11 days. But that, you know, those things have narrowed down because of technology. Those days are a lot shorter. If my fund's going to be available when I deposit them so I can use them to run my business, those are important things to think about. Checking accounts, small business or commercial checking. What's the difference? Well, this is one thing that we have that we're going to talk to you a little bit about. That small businesses, banks have different kinds of commercial checking accounts. Some they call full analysis checking, where they base your fees that you talk about based on the activity in the account. Most large businesses have what they call a commercial analysis checking account. If you have a lot of checks that you deposit, if you write a lot of checks or have a lot of transactions, that's what they'll usually do because they give you a credit for your average balance that you have in that account towards the waiver of the service charge. And it's all based, they call it an earnings credit. A small business, and what we have what they call a business express, a small business express. And I'm going to let Tracy talk about that just for a little bit and just tell you how that would work.
Okay. I'm going to correct Rick a little bit. It's actually an express business checking account, so if you just have those flip-flopped. With our express business checking account, I was telling him earlier, I don't know that I've ever even personally opened up a commercial account analysis type of account. They've all been these small business express checking accounts. With the express business account, you get up to 250 items that get to come through the account for free. So I haven't, like I said, opened an account, any of these express business accounts that didn't fall into that criteria. There is a per item fee after that 250 item is met, but I haven't had anybody that's even reached the 250 as the maximum. It's only $50 to open that account. It comes with a lot of different benefits. The monthly statement comes with the check images, which is normally, most banks, there's a fee for that statement for the check images as well. You are able to get a free business debit card with the account. It's only $50 to open the account. I think I might have said that already. If you did reach the 250 items, it's 25 cents per item. And what I mean by items is, obviously, if you write a check and it clears your account, a check that you've written, that's one item. If you make a deposit, say you're making a deposit, so you have a deposit slip and then you have 4 checks that you're depositing. That ends up being 5 items. So you have the deposit slip and then those 4 checks that you're depositing. So each one of those items adds up to that 250 item. If you have credit cards that you're receiving, the merchant services that you have, there's a deposit that comes in, say daily, from your credit cards. That would be 1 item. So if you already have a checking account established somewhere, besides First State Community Bank, you can bring your statements in. We can take a look at it. If it's a business account, it should show you, maybe even personal accounts, should show you the items that come through your account. So we can tell you definitely, yes, you'll be fine in this express business account, you won't have any fees, that kind of thing. So a really neat account for small businesses because virtually there is no fee. There is no monthly statement fee, there's no monthly service charge, unless you go over that limit of items, which doesn't really happen.
250
Per statement cycle, sorry, per month.
okay.
Yes.
Just a month.
Good question. So it's a very popular business account that we have because most of the businesses we deal with are small businesses, not big corporate.
You're saying like each individual debit and credit, and in my case, food stamps that go through the bank process?
No, ma'am. They actually come, whenever you receive your monies from the merchant services, it comes as one lump sum. So you may get it daily. It depends on how often you total out your machine. But say you have 10 credit cards that you receive payment from in one day, that following day you're going to get that total in a deposit into your account. So that would be 1 item because it's just one total that's being deposited into your account.
Day and
yes. So that's our express business. Like I said, it's very popular and it's really the only ones I've ever opened for businesses. So.
Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, it's called Express, and that's a good word for it. It is. It's a great, practical, and it makes sense for most of our small businesses, and it works. Other types of accounts, you probably have payroll and operating accounts, zero balance feature, and sweeps and fees. And so those things we can talk about a little later. But some businesses have a separate payroll account for the ones that have multiple employees, and those things can be done. Sweeps is money moving from one business to the other, but you notice that it doesn't move from personal to business. Remember our accountant and our attorney that was here last week? What did they say? No commingling funds. Keep your personal and business funds separate. That'll make the IRS happy, that'll make your accountant happy, and that'll also make your attorney happy. So, so it's very important that you don't commingle your money, and it does make it easier when you're taking care of your financial record keeping and books. Now, that don't mean you can't lend your business money, and that's where your accountant comes in. You get a good accountant, a good attorney can help put those things together. Additional banking services, there's payroll services you could do, prevent potential fraud or forgeries, record keeping, direct deposits, some of these things, the direct deposit is a big function that if you have monies that are coming in, even merchants goes directly into your account. If you have reoccurring deposits that go into your account, sometimes that can be done through electronics and payroll. Cash management services, sweep investment accounts, other sweep accounts, online funds transfer, a lockbox service, and positive pay. Talk to the bank and see if these things make sense for your business and if they offer it. Online transfers, you said, do you have online services for the bank? Can you do online banking for your business? We definitely have that, and most banks do now because that's the sign of the times. Technology is real important. When we talk about sweep investments accounts and other sweep accounts, can you sweep money into from a regular operating account into an investment account that earns a little more interest? You can do that because the law does not allow unlimited corporations to have unlimited use of funds and earn interest on it. It has to be in a savings or a money market account. Corporations it's a regulation that the Federal Reserve has had in place for years. Ask your bank about these things. Lockbox service, your customers can send the money direct to a lockbox and they put it directly into your account. through mailing the monies to you. Savings account and certificates of deposits. For your rainy day funds or your reserve accounts, you can open up a savings account. You might have a limitation on the amount of withdrawals. It's not, availability to those funds is limited. You can still get to it, especially on a savings account. They're set out there where it earns some interest, but you can get to that money if you want to, usually by coming into the bank. You can do a phone withdrawal, but you can only do so many per month. By regulation, you can only have 6. A money market account, you can have 6 done outside of the bank per statement cycle, and those can be done by check, or but you can come into the bank personally and withdraw as much as you want, transfer it to your operating account. So there are limitations on savings accounts as far as being able to do withdrawals. And certificates of deposits, you put money in for a specific period of time. You're making a contract with the bank. It's usually a minimum of 7 days up to 5 years that you can put in, and that's more of a long-term plan. Usually if you take the money out before the contracted time, there's a penalty. And so, but all of these funds are insured by the FDIC, and that's important, up to $250,000. So per account.
What's the reason for certificate of deposit?
A reason for that? In this rate environment, it's not as lucrative as it used to be. When rates and CDs, you'd have like a 5% rate if you kept the CD in there for 5 years. If you put it in there for 3 years, you got maybe 3.5%. Where if it's sitting in your operating account and you're building up excess funds, you're not really getting a return on that.
Okay.
And you can move some of it over, and the longer you kept it in there, usually the higher the rate is. And so it gives you a chance to get a return on your money while you're not using it. And that's usually funds that you might need in the future that you could tie up specifically for that amount. Or you could either land, you could tie up for a year and some of them for 2 years, so you're kindly working the rate, and if the rates go up, you get the benefit of that. So.
Quick working capital.
Oh, good job. Working capital. If you need the working capital, you got it sitting there if you need it. And
So if you would set up something like for, say, your taxes, and you wanted to open an account that would just go for your taxes.
Right.
And you put a savings thing in place.
You could put a savings account together, sure.
And then when you empty it and then have to reopen it, you could do that? Like
You wouldn't necessarily have to leave it. You could leave a smaller amount in there, You just wouldn't close it out. You could
Okay,
just,
that's what I was wondering.
yeah, you could leave, because there are probably minimum requirements, to keep from avoid the service charge.
Mhm.
That's what the same, with the certificate of deposit, you can't keep adding to it.
Right, that's a good point. A certificate of deposit is you're putting $5,000 in there for a specific period of time, for 1 year, 2 years, 33 months.
And you can only add to it at that
At maturity.
maturity date,
Mhm.
yeah.
And they'll usually pay interest quarterly, and they can add that to the certificate, and it grows, compounds. Good question.
We have a little one for our son, but I don't know what we're gonna do with it, but.
Oh, okay.
We had started one for him, but it's, like you said, it's not making as much now as it did when we first put it in, so.
Right.
Low risk though.
Yeah, true.
You're not risking
True.
it. Like I said, and for our children, we have a junior savers program that's outstanding, so you might have to check into that. It's neat. We give cash for eggs and things in
Oh,
school
really?
and stuff, so, that's things we can talk about later. Okay. Business account access, depositing sales with remote customer deposit scanner. Our remote deposit scanner, RDC. And what in the world are you talking about? And you're capturing those items through a scanner that you make in your deposit instead of going to the bank. That's usually designed for a more high volume, check. If someone that receives a lot of checks, it's more of a high volume. And what they do is they have the equipment and the scanner at their office. And then they make a deposit. They scan those checks through just like we scan them when you bring them to the bank and deposit. It's very high tech. The money goes into the account faster. You don't have to make a trip to the bank. This is the ones that we do this with is, remote deposit capture are usually for our established customers. It's been around, for a while to have, because, like I said, it's an online thing, and those checks are processed, and then the checks never go to the bank. And that's the unusual part
So
about it.
for that, like, where you can do it yourself, mobile?
We do that, we offer that for our personal accounts, and then there's a small fee for business accounts to be able to do that, but yeah, mobile deposit capture. Similar, but not the same.
That's just a sign of the times. The technology's there, and we do it for some of our customers, and it's, they call it remote deposit, they call it scanner, we call it capture. The scanner captures the image and electronically puts the money in the account. It says beware of online theft. That we talk about access. Other things, business debit cards. That's the convenience part. If you have a debit card for your business, we allow our customers, our commercial customers, to have debit cards. Who has control? It's the owner of the business. The risk is if you let somebody in your business that's not an owner utilize that debit card, the risk is they can use that debit card, and you give them authority to do it, then your risk is, we do have limits on daily limits on what people can use debit cards for, and it could be 500, it could be 1,000. We can increase those limits temporarily just by a phone call. If you need to buy something through a debit card, we can allow you to increase your limit. So debit cards are very convenient. You can buy. We have people that buy supplies through the lumber yard, for instance. We have people that they say, I need an increase on my debit card, and you might not even know about it, but they'll call and say, hey, I got to go increase. I'm going to buy $3,000. Our limit's $1,500. We can approve a $3,000 swipe on that debit card and get it approved that same day. It's got to be in their account, of course. It's not a credit or a loan, but they have the money in the account, and that's how that convenience is amazing. How we can do business debit cards, but you got to understand the risk associated with that. Merchant processing, I'm not going to cover this because he covered it very well. It talks about payments through gift cards and things that they can accept through merchant processing. This just talks about needs-based banking. If you're going to talk about bank, just write down what your needs are for your business. What is your specific needs that you have, and list them. And what needs will I be in the future? Whether it's a loan or anything along that line. And just kind of assign a date to each of those. That's just something you can do on your own. Reconciling accounts. It's very important that you kind of keep track of your accounts, your deposit accounts, your checking accounts. Reconcile it. Make sure you're in balance, because if there's an error, you want to catch it immediately. As I said, all this electronic things that are going out, all the humans put all this stuff in there, so there's the human factor that you have to understand. So the best way to do is reconcile your deposit accounts, whether it's payroll, even though you look at it every day and you say, oh, I know what my balance is, I look at it every day, but that inherent wrong misencoded check, there might be a check for $50 get encoded for $500, and if you hadn't looked and all of a sudden 500 was taken out and you only thought it was 50, if you don't reconcile that, that can, someday you're overdrawn and you say, what in the world happened? And everything was right, but that encoding on the bottom of that check is put in by a person, and that can, so if they took 500 out, that means somebody else got that 500. So that's why it's important. And check your interest on your loans and your deposits. Make sure that they're accurate when you get your statements. Protect your business from online theft. We certainly encourage, when you have online banking, that you use passwords that are not frequently used. Avoid, same old thing. Don't use your birthday. Don't use your dog's name. Or things that are easily, that people can guess. Ensure your computers have an operating system that have antivirus security updates. Avoid using public wireless hotspots in areas like airports, cafes with online banking activity. Ensure that your staff thinks critically about emails and phone calls to identify suspicious behavior. And consider establishing a dedicated computer for online banking and cash management. So that's just some common sense things that you might want to consider when you're using online or the computer for your business. Commercial lending. Okay. Financing. There's types of lending for businesses. There's financing receivables or purchased inventory. There's inventory loans that you have out there that's available. The lines of credit. These are things that you can use for temporary financing. Usually those are done on a 12-month basis. You can, well, they kind of work like a credit card where you can borrow, pay it off, borrow, pay it off. It's called a revolving line of credit. A straight line of credit is where you have $10,000 and you might not need it all at once, but you can borrow 5 now, 5 later, but when you're done, then you pay it, start paying it off at that time. They call that a straight line of credit. Term loans for fixed assets, you buy an asset or a piece of equipment, its useful life is probably 7, 8 years. You finance it for 7 and 8 years usually, and you try not to make your loan exceed the life of the asset. That's important. So always consider the life of the asset and the needs that you're purchasing when you're purchasing assets. If it's real estate, you know that's more longer term asset. Business credit card, you know, you have the same thing. You got to think about the risk when you have a business credit card and who's the user of that credit card, and the owners. If the owner's using, that's a little different. And the type of business that you have, we have sole proprietors, we have LLCs. Whoever has the access to those cards are the ones that, you know, that's the risk that you have. There's also SBA. You know, SBA is one of the sponsors of this program. You see, they help produce some of the slides, but SBA loans are good for small businesses. There's different types. They have 7A loans, which are, you know, loans that can be, they're guaranteed loans by the SBA up to a certain percentage based on the type of loan, whether for equipment, whether it's for working capital. They have a 504 loan, which usually used for buying property and businesses. Yes?
I've been talking to a lady about buying Barney's, and she was trying for a small business loan from the government, not from, is that a different entity?
It's probably, she might have been trying to get an SBA loan through the government. It's through the government. We have a local place called the Jefferson County Economic Development Corporation. It's out here on Highway B. There's a loan officer for the corporation called Roger Schlater, and he's the one that can probably give you some advice. It's paid by your tax dollars, and so the Economic Development Corporation can answer any questions that you'd have about an SBA. Because they do them through them, and then they go through a bank, so it's a partnership.
Because it's been several months that we've been waiting on this, and I told her, I said, I'm not trying to push a bank loan. I said, but go to a bank, see what the loan would be, and what information you need for a loan to go through.
Sure.
And then it's up to you where you want it through, but that'll give me a chance to get the information ready.
Exactly, because
But I didn't.
wherever it is, they'll want to see
Didn't know if
that.
it was the same thing. If it was
It's usually the same thing. The government loans are usually through SBA, Small Business Administration. Good question. And like I said, additional banking service, financing. You can improve your chances of getting loan by understanding the different types of financing, whether it's SBA, conventional, you know, and just by talking to your bank, they can kind of steer you in the right direction. Comparison shop, see what's out there, talk about the rates, fees, everything associated with that loan. You know, they're there to answer your questions and help you. They want to be a partner. I'm talking they, meaning the bank that you're dealing with. We want to be a partner with the business so everybody wins. Ask about the details, the structure, the terms, things you want to know. What time, am I getting the right type of loan for what I want? You know, those are good questions that you need to, you know, that goes back to your needs. If I'm wanting to buy some equipment for my salon, you know, I want to pay it off in 3 years. Are they trying to, you know, make me pay it off too short? Or, you know, I think anything over probably 3 to 5 years would be about correct for something for a salon. Chiropractic equipment, you know, if you're upgrading your equipment, the lifespan of that equipment is going to be something that you'd be looking at. Make the term and the loan match your needs. I think that's always important. And always find out what you need to provide. They'll be asking for the financial information. They want to know, you know, because banks look for how money's going to get repaid. So you want to have your financial statements in order, and they'll ask for that. They'll want to know exactly what the balance sheet looks like on the business. The things in the next meeting, I think you'll learn a little more about financial statements and and what'll be needed for a loan. We have a professional that'll help. Wealth management and retirement, we do offer things, different plans that you can put out there. You got to think about the health savings plans, IRAs, SEP plans for small businesses. Those are simplified employee pensions that you can put together that can save you money. You have to find exactly, are those things offered, and how can that benefit my small business? Choose the right bank for your financial needs. These are the 6 key points. Shop around. Banks offer a wide range of loans and deposit products and services to meet your needs. Banks can help your business with merchant, payroll, and retirement and online services. Keep your business and personal accounts separate when transacting business. Take precautions to avoid fraud and preventable losses. Those are things that little things that you can do to prevent losses, especially in fraud. Save money for unexpected expenses in a savings account. We talked about the rainy day fund. Those are just common things that you can do to protect yourself. I know we've kind of run through this a little fast. What we're going to do is we're going to give you our brochure that we use for our small businesses. It talks about our express business checking, and it talks about the different types of accounts that we have and services. As I said, as before, we talked about we have, for your information, an insurance agency, and we have an investment company called First State Insurance Agency and First State Financial Management. There's information about that in this brochure. If you'll notice, everything starts off with success starts here, as we talked about at the beginning. We want to give you the resources to achieve financial success, and this kind of is a good kind of overview. If you have specific questions, we can definitely address these for you and your needs. And it talks about SBA loan programs, letters of credit, things of that nature that you might be interested in. And this is something for you to take and review and bring it back, because we'll have some downtime that you'll be able to talk and ask questions about these things. So take this with you and review it. Does anybody have any questions? We got to, we went a little long tonight.
I do have to tell you, I think I misspoke earlier, the express business is 200 items, but I assure you that no one has met that. So I apologize, but I think I said 250.
Oh, 250. We wanted to make sure we covered all the information. I kind of threw you links out there for me. Anybody have any questions before we go? I tell you real quick, one thing before we go, just like next week we're going to have, if you'll notice, Craig Sutherland, he's financial management. He gives you some great clues and tips on what you can do as far as the financing of the business. Kevin, you have anything you want to add?
I think the point that Rick's making this evening is very important. Shopping for a bank is equally as critical as trying to align yourself with an attorney, with a good insurance man, with a good CPA. And go in and talk to a banker. You don't necessarily have to have a loan proposal, or you don't have to need to borrow money, but just go in. We're happy to sit down and we'll just talk. Because what we want to learn is we want to learn about your business. And when you select a banker who listens to you, who doesn't try to tell you, here's all the things that we do, here's all the great and wonderful things we can do. Let's just talk about your business. Because the way you learn about a person's business and the way that we can help you is first we have to understand your business, and we do that by listening. And once we listen to you and we're in agreement that there's a high probability that we can form a long-term relationship, that's who you want to do business with. It's like any vendor that you select. We're the same way. And select people who will listen. Rick mentioned that success starts here. What we want to do is we want to structure any type of financial program for your business that has a high probability of success. And the way we do that is just to listen. And we can help you by listening. We can provide you with advice and ideas. You may know, I think I need to buy a machine, but I really don't know if this is the time. I really don't know if, how long I can finance it for. Just come in and we'll have those conversations. Or we'll come to your place of business. We'll bring a dozen donuts or whatever, and we'll sit down and we'll talk. Or we'll meet you somewhere. We're people just like you. We're small business owners. You know, we're a community bank, we're a neighborhood business trying to do business with neighborhood businesses. So please, if you have any questions or any comments or anything about your business, give us a call. We're more than happy to sit down and talk to you. And one thing I can promise you about First State Community Bankers is we will listen. And our goal is to try to get to yes, and to structure something that has a high probability of success for you and your business.
Thank you. All right. Anything else? Yes.
This is silly. Did you just automatically check off names that was here?
Uh-huh.
Did pass it?
We've got a sheet here.
Ann's last name.
We gotta get Ann's last.
OSBY.
OSBY.
Because I didn't sign any.
Right, and I think
I
that
got you, Mark.
we got everybody
Yeah,
marked
that's
here,
right.
it's important.
Yeah, well, I was here in spirit last week.
There you
You
go.
didn't feel me?
We wanna make sure.
You didn't see I was here?
I know.
Just to make sure though, I have Juanita, Lisa, Kevin, Allison, Fonda, Stoke, and Ann. Did I miss anyone?
That's an aberration.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you all very much. Have a safe day.
I didn't know it was,
We didn't
it
exceed
started
it.
last week.
It's
I
9:30
called
and 5
First State.
seconds. Our goal is to give you the resources,
Hey,
like I
Jefferson,
said.
yeah.
Ed did a good
Well, I
commercial for us,
just- I
but you
didn't-
deal with who you
I don't
want to
get the
deal with.
leader
That's,
every
you know,
week.
that's part of
And I
this
just
process is
happened
an
to get the leader,
education.
but I didn't look through it until
A commercial
like
that we'd love to have.
Wednesday afternoon. And I had already,
Too late by the way.
too late. And by the time I called, I said, "Look, too bad, so I'll make it the next one." You know, always a day late, $1.